All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome back. And today we're going to do something very different from the normal. I think it's going to be a lot of fun in the spirit of March Madness. I'd probably say, me and my guests here. I'm joined by the lovely Mashea.
Hi.
And our friend Emma.
Hello.
And so I think we can all agree that we don't really know much about the sports ball and follow.
I think you probably know the most. You know the most.
Yeah, it's like I definitely recognize a lot of the schools in March Madness, but yeah, none of us follow basketball or let alone college basketball enough to be able to do that. But something that we do understand very well, and you'll be seeing on the screen right now, is we know Disney Pixar really well. So let's go ahead and get started with trying to figure out, which of these Disney and Pixar movies will end up dominating. Starting with over on the left side, there our first matchup with The Lion King and Tarzan. Now, first off, I want to say I'm already super torn with this.
This is music, right?
Well, yeah, music is my first one because on the one hand with Lion King, you got a majority of the soundtrack dominated with Elton John. But on Tarzan's side, you've got Phil Collins.
Okay, let me just say something, too, because as far as those movies go, I'll tell you a little bit of background, because I have really, really nasty, experience with Lion King, because it was just a really loud movie when I was little, and I saw it when I was little. I don't remember watching it. I just remember it was loud, and it immediately was the worst movie.
No.
But Tarzan came out in, I'm pretty sure it was 2000, and I was
look at the years, because that will make a difference.
That will.
I think so, yeah.
But yeah, so Tarzan came out, and I just remember that was one of the first. I don't even remember the entire thing, but I remember it being some kind of prank I did on my dad.
Oh, yeah?
And I just remember that being really cool. And that was just going to see the movie. It wasn't even actually the movie.
Nice.
So it was 99.
Okay,
I was going to say, I thought it was still in the...
Yeah, I was I know it's close. I think it came out on VHS in 2000.
See,
I'm pretty sure.
My issue is, I was a kid when Lion King was out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I was a teen when Tarzan came out, and I don't know if I saw a lot of these. I think maybe I went through I don't want to see a kids movie phase.
Okay.
And so I think I've seen it maybe once.
Uh-huh.
But Lion King I've seen several times.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that'll make a difference here, but I'm definitely leaning towards Lion King.
See, I almost want to lean towards Lion King as well for a couple of other things. Yeah, because Mashea and I were definitely much younger during that time, but it's still both movies for our childhood.
For sure.
But I think Lion King is going to get my vote, mainly because I think it's been the more enduring movie, that it's also taken not only from Disney and is a classic one for every kid or every person of every age, but it's also been translated over to Broadway as well and been very successful in that sense.
I think that's mainly because it has a history, kind of like the idea that Disney is taking a lot of older movies and kind of reinventing them. Like Sleeping Beauty, if they redid that, it probably wouldn't hold up as well. But they did Maleficent, and that was a new, interesting spin, still with a kind of similar story.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, here's something else I'll say, too. So, I love, love, love the music from both Lion King and Tarzan. Mm. But I would give Lion King this one just off of music alone, because you can easily identify what movie it's from. Anybody, everybody. Mm-hmm. And you can more easily tell, which song is which. Yeah. Think about when you watch Lion King, you're oh, Can't Wait to Be King.
Hakuna Matata.
The Feel the Love Tonight, right? Or whatever that's called.
and in my personal opinion, I've looked at this bracket already, out of all the movies, I feel Lion King's opening was, iconic.
Yeah.
It really
Circle
was.
of Life, one of the best openings of any Disney movie
and
ever.
It's still referenced to this day, and
I
no matter
cry.
what, you still recognize that. And even if you haven't actually seen the movie, you still know that opening.
Final drum note when this title goes up. I think about it, it gives me chills.
Yeah.
Where Tarzan, if you're oh, name some songs, you almost name the same song because they all kind of sound the same. They're all great.
Yeah.
Is one of them "You'll Be in My Heart"?
Yes, it absolutely
that's the only one I know.
You'll be in my heart.
That's a classic.
Strangers Like Me.
It is.
I don't know that. I'm dead.
Oh no, yeah.
And they're both great songs, but like then you're like, all right, what else?
Yeah.
And then you kind of just, I don't know.
Also, something is very much a deciding factor for me when it comes to movies is the cast. And Lion King has an all-star cast with James Earl Jones, Michael J. Fox, Whoopi Goldberg,
Mr. Bean.
Yeah,
Mr. Bean?
Rowan Atkinson. Oh,
yeah, the bird.
Yes,
No.
is Zazu.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, is Rowan Atkinson.
Okay,
so there you go.
I think we're leaving off on a good
Yeah,
note.
I think
Lion King
so.
wins.
Yeah, I think we all agree that Lion King is moving on
I
to
thought
the
it was
next.
going to be like button heads and be like Tarzan, but then I just convinced myself.
Yeah.
This is a sign of things to come. This may be pretty easy, but I have
Right?
a feeling it's going to be.
I think you just
And
jinxed
so,
it.
we're definitely going to get to some disagreements. So, moving on to our next one, Princess and the Frog versus Lilo and Stitch.
Lilo and Stitch.
I'm going to agree. I will give Princess and the Frog for first of all that they went back to the pen or the pencil sketch.
Beautiful.
Artwork
It was
again, which was a
beautiful.
great idea.
But whatever.
Yeah, and I will give it that it was a very strong female role where it was basically down to the princess to save the prince, which is a very, rare thing to do.
Yeah.
And that, I'll give it that.
And it had a really cool villain.
It did. Yeah,
It's not super memorable. Like, I don't remember his name.
No.
No, in all fairness,
it was the
I've
Shadow
only
Man,
seen
I think,
it
was,
once.
Yeah, I want to say.
But,
I don't
okay,
know. Or it was like Dr. Something. I knew him as the Shadow Man. Yeah.
The best thing about that movie, excuse me, the best thing about that movie was her best friend.
The crazy...
Yeah! With her little... What was those things that she made that they were, like, powder sugary, and she was like, oh, I needed, like, a dozen of these. Do you remember that?
They were like beignets,
little...
weren't they? Or did they...
Beignets,
okay, were they beignets?
Well, I'm pretty confident.
Yeah. And, I mean... It had some great music with the fact that they were doing the jazz and the New Orleans, but there's maybe it's because Princess and the Frog came out a little bit later in the Princess era for us.
Yeah.
It just kind of
same.
If it had come out around the time period of all the other princess movies, I think it would have been a little bit better.
There were some great moments, like I will say, like the Firefly. Being turned into a star was a very touching. There were some touching moments in it, but Lilo and Stitch, just the overall bond between the two of them was just so powerful. And once again, going back to music with Elvis, being majority soundtrack.
This is just like Lion King in this sense. Everyone can reference Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah.
Nobody references.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I've only seen both of these probably once.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I feel like I want to lean towards Princess and the Frog just because I think Stitch is the little alien guy, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
That's okay.
He's cute.
Mm-hmm.
And he's very memorable, but I feel like the art. I'm more of like the style of art and the music, and I feel like I want to give it to Princess and the Frog, but I am not really invested in either of these. So
that's fair. Well,
but I feel like I'm okay with you guys with Lilo for winning for this one because I've seen both of these just once.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, that's actually kind of like a good objective answer because I think I've seen Lilo and Stitch a bajillion times.
Okay.
And Princess and the Frog I've seen once.
Same.
But I saw in theaters,
Same.
So saw Princess and the Frog in theaters, and I don't even know any of the characters' names, not even the princess.
Tiana.
I knew it started with a T.
Yeah.
I knew that much, and I wanted to say Talia, but
I feel bad that I haven't seen a lot of these very many times.
Yeah.
No, that's okay.
And but I was super excited to see Princess and the Frog originally, and I think when I saw it, I just kind of felt that it was kind of missing a lot,
I think we were maybe looking for that magic of like being a kid, and it's just
perhaps
maybe we're like adults, and it was like not as exciting as.
I kind of want to like go find a child and be like, "Did you love this movie?"
Yes,
grab me,
hello, small child.
Tell me what you thought. But yeah, Lilo and Stitch, there's just so much that you can just keep going back to. It's the fun, and you can even as an adult, you can still kind of be a kid and look at. That I want to say was that
2004?
was that was like right at the early 2000 transition. I want to say
wasn't a kid; I was a teenager.
True,
the
but
Frog was 2009.
Okay.
And then
So it's
Lilo,
5 years later.
Yeah.
2002. Excuse me, 2002.
2002.
Okay.
So yeah,
How old are
12.
you guys?
Just
Okay.
getting in.
We're 12.
Yeah.
18.
You were 18?
2002.
2002? Because you're
19.
6 years older than us.
I was 83. This is going to be a factor in the deciding for sure. Coming up.
I can.
yeah, I'm sure.
You guys are 90?
Yep.
Yeah.
83.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah.
So yeah. I mean that's also.
I was 19 when Lilo and Stitch came out. I definitely went through a phase where I was like, I didn't see any of these movies until like much later.
So
Yeah, I could see that,
objective
yeah.
in watching both of them once, but maybe subjective.
yeah. And like not caring about
I feel you.
kids movies.
So I can.
I'm
can
all
also,
about kids movies, you know.
I can
Yeah.
also understand where then if you're like 7 years difference with Princess and the Frog coming out.
Yeah.
So at that era, when you're seeing Lilo and Stitch and you're just like, I don't give a crap about kids' movies or cartoons, but then coming out with Princess and the Frog, you're getting back into that mindset of watching it. So I
Probably.
could definitely see.
And I think I
with
saw
that.
Lilo and Stitch much later. I
Yeah.
didn't see it in the theater.
Oh, okay.
I think I saw it like on like somebody was like, "You've never seen that?" So I watched it.
Yeah.
It might have been honestly like 2000 around the time I saw
Oh, okay.
this Princess and the Frog, and I only watched it once. And I think both of them, I was kind of like I was saying, missing that magic of like I don't really
Yeah.
care, you know.
And I will say Lilo and Stitch had a great sequel with the Lilo and Stitch 2 transitioning.
it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we
What?
own it. Yeah.
What? There's a
Have you
Disney
not?
movie you've seen that I haven't?
You haven't seen?
No.
Oh wow, no, yeah, with 2.
I've seen Jungle Book 2.
Yeah, with Lilo and Stitch
Yeah.
2, that's when they introduced the other aliens, the other experiments.
I've heard about it.
And then
you
that,
know what? I watched the show.
Yeah, that transitioned into the show.
Yeah.
And that introduced the show, which I thought the show was really well done too.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Interesting. It bracket all the movies that turn into shows.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
It's kind of
That's
true.
not going to be as good.
Yeah.
I know, I'm just kidding.
It's
Right.
not good.
I'm just kidding. We have to
okay.
watch it.
So, what are we going to say moves forward?
I'd say Lilo and Stitch.
Okay.
Sounds
I'm-
good, guys.
I'm thinking Lilo
fine
and
with
Stitch,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, like I said, this is
All right.
not.
You're like, no.
I want
argument.
hardcore opinions coming up.
All
Oh
right,
yeah,
all
we're
right.
gonna get
son.
to I like this next one, Big Hero 6 and Tangled. So already I know Michea's answer. I think on this one.
I have actually some mixed feelings on this because I
Uh-huh.
love them both for different reasons.
Yeah.
Like Big Hero 6 is definitely like I think it leans more towards guys and Tangled towards girls.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hair versus ninja skills and robots. But I love the ninja skills and robots, and I love like the encouragement of people being creative and educating themselves and being involved. And I super duper love that. But I also love that in Tangled, she's like Renaissance woman. She knows how to do everything. Poor girl is locked in a tower, and that's why she probably knows all that. But I do have a soft spot for Tangled. I just feel like a lot of people don't like that movie, but I feel like Tangled is, or specifically Rapunzel, is just one of the characters that I relate the most to.
I could see that, and I think with Tangled also you have a great adventure story too of a girl locked away and then experiencing the world, and she's experiencing it with just 100% passion because she just loves everything that she's seeing.
Well, no,
right off
the
the
like
bat,
trauma when she gets out of the tower, she's like, "Yay, free!" And then she's like,
too. that
That's
too.
hilarious.
And the characters are super fun and endearing too. Between her and Eugene or Flynn, however
So cute.
you look at it. And once again, we're turning towards the princess saving the prince again.
well, and that
With
one,
Tangled. Spoiler, sorry if anyone hasn't seen
well,
it.
if they're watching this, they'll figure it out.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
But did she really save him?
I mean, she brought him back to life.
But not on purpose.
No, but that was
Happy
her.
accident.
I mean, that was her intent because she still tried to do the whole magical hair thing.
Okay,
and then
good point, good point.
like she was trying to do that.
You're right.
And
She
then
totally
she figured
did.
out,
Aww.
I really, really like Tangled. I'm definitely going to give this one to Tangled for me. Because Tangled is one of those movies, I think, like in talking about, like, I don't really feel the magic of some of these movies as I get older. When I saw Tangled, I was like, whoa, this is amazing. It was one of the first Disney movies that I watched, like, as an adult, where I was like, wow, this was a lot better than I was almost reluctant to watch it, and I watched it on video. And, like, wow, this is really good. And I'm like, actually I'm kind of like a Mandy Moore fan.
Yeah.
And
she's great.
I love her voice,
Mm-hmm.
and I really love the songs. Like, I have like a Disney mix, and like whenever the Tangled songs come on, I'm like,
Yay.
oh yay!
It's so well done, and
I even love the credits song.
it is it's their duet song, isn't it?
No,
Or,
the credit song isn't even Mandy Moore singing.
oh, okay. Oh wow.
Yeah,
I completely
was like, I
forget
can't
the
for
credits on
whatever.
it. Yeah.
Can't remember what the song is called, but
The
whatever.
lights and like that song, the romantic song,
Yeah.
the lights, like
It's
That
a great
was-
love story too.
I get
and just
teared up. Yeah, it's so good.
That is, I'm glad you said that because it's like the equivalent of watching. We were talking about this earlier, but like watching a teen romance where you're just like,
bring it back to Big Hero 6. I
Okay,
will say
yeah.
a lot with Big Hero 6 definitely speaks to me with the companionship that is not only between Hiro and Baymax, but with all the people involved, all the people he
Yeah.
meets in the university, and they just become this close-knit family based off of their friendship, which I think is such a powerful thing.
So sweet.
And it speaks, to me especially, because I remember, there was a period in my childhood where I definitely didn't have a huge amount of friends, and the couple friends that I did have, we were just like super tight. And so there's that whole thing with Big Hero 6 with meeting friends and the importance of you don't have to have a family that's biological kind of thing, that you can find a family other ways.
Yeah, that's so important.
Yeah, and I will say between the two, I think we can agree that at some point Pixar had kind of a renaissance of their movies, where before, like, Pixar movies did have a great period, and then they had a period of movies where it's just kind of like they were kind of pumping stuff out. And I think around the Big Hero 6 Tangled era is when Pixar really started to hit a gigantic stride, and they've been like ever since have been doing some amazing work. But
So, I definitely want to give Tangled this because when I think of Tangled, I enjoy like everything throughout that movie, and as a girl, it hits the romance moments.
I'm biased on towards this.
Yeah, I feel a little biased, but I also like
I am too.
Baymax or Big Hero 6. The beginning of the movie was my favorite part. Like, it just felt every time I watch it, I'm just so inspired to like go out and create something.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna be an engineer.
Yeah.
Today. And it totally surprised me like 3 or 4 different times where I got teary-eyed. I'm like, what the hell's happening? There's only supposed to be one good cry, not like 6.
yeah,
But you guys know my favorite part about that movie, right?
no,
No?
what is it?
Oh, the cat.
Oh,
The huge fat
Mochi?
cat.
Yeah, the big hairy baby. Or no, it's just hairy,
hairy baby.
I have a very large cat. Well, he's lost some weight. So as soon as I saw that, I think it was in the trailer, I was like,
It's Frank the
Frank.
it's the baby.
I will agree, however, with the Tangled moving forward, because
unanimous.
We're doing good, guys.
I mean, Big Hero
wait till
6,
we get to the other
I've
side.
seen
I
so
know.
many more times than Tangled, but I think Tangled just has so many elements to it as far as Disney magic and stuff that is great.
Oh my god, can we get to the next one?
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
go to the
let's
next
do it.
one. So once again, continue with Pixar's Renaissance. We have Frozen versus Moana.
Oh no, isn't this Disney? Pixar's on the other side, right?
No, they kind of mix match.
Yeah.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So yes. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? I love Frozen mainly for the one song, "Let It Go."
I like it for a lot of songs. Or no, 2 songs. Let It Go
Oh, and
Love Has Opened the Door.
Yeah, Love Has
and
Opened
I
the
loved
Door.
Anna.
Yeah.
Or Anna, however you say her name.
And I will say, once again, a great cast as far as musical with Idina Menzel and Kristen Bell and stuff.
good.
Yeah, both amazing, voices. And I like that they did something very different with the love story being family driven love story.
Sisters,
Not
yeah.
yeah,
That was
and
sweet.
yeah. So that was a sweet. But yeah, Moana, once again, you have, I love the good adventure story. Not to say that Anna didn't have a great adventure finding her sister.
No,
but
she
Moana,
didn't have a great adventure.
No, actually, yeah, you're right. It wasn't.
I was like...
There's some fun, and it is a great movie, and I will watch again, but Moana is great, and also, you've got The Rock's introduction into...
The Rock was pretty great.
Yeah, and he was...
Moana? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
With Moana. And yeah, I found myself, especially with Moana, I think I listened to that soundtrack over and over and over again, just on repeat.
A lot of these movies, my big factor is like, which one made me feel the feels?
Yeah.
Which one made me cry? Which one do I look back at and I think about parts?
Yeah.
And I can just cry on cue.
Oh, I remember...
The baby, when she's like in the ocean.
Yes.
And the music at that part where she's like walking in and like the wave parts.
Yeah.
I like lost it.
Yeah.
In the theater.
So I remember going into Moana because the last couple of movies prior to Moana, Pixar, hit a nerve with me, and I'm like, oh, like Pixar was definitely hitting a stride where every single movie I was like, there's a good tearjerker moment in it. Moana, I came in and I was like, okay, Pixar, you're not going to get me this time. I'm going to try and soldier through this movie and be strong. And then Pixar was like, oh, really? Well, how about the scene when the grandma comes back to her, kind of thing?
Yes.
And continues to inspire her forward. And I'm like, God damn it.
That is absolutely true. And then she's also, it's still, sorry, I can't talk. It wasn't a sad death. It was the happiest death.
Yeah, it was the most like,
because you love the grandma immediately. Yeah. You only know her for a few minutes.
But in that time, they make such a connection in that short time, too.
Mm-hmm.
I have to admit, I never saw Frozen in the theater.
Okay.
And when I finally watched it, it was with two little kids that were screaming, singing
that's just
all the songs.
Yeah.
But I watched the gist of it. So I really feel like I need to see it again. But I still feel like I can predict that I would like Moana more.
Yeah.
I just think knowing me and knowing the story, I kind of generally know the story. But I do feel like I'm a little bit biased based on the fact that I've seen Moana twice or three times, and I've only seen Frozen like half a time.
Yeah.
If this will give any perspective too, whenever there's a Disney movie or Pixar, I definitely will rewatch. And
good for you.
Frozen, yeah. I think I watched it when I first got the DVD, and I think that was the last time I watched it. I literally bought it and then watched it once. Moana, I watched it in theaters. I think I went and saw it again. I can't remember. I might have not, but I definitely bought that movie right away, and I watched it at least 6 times since then.
I think so. And I remember, too, it's funny, because when we did see Frozen in theaters, you, had it on your calendar when the DVD release was going to be. You could not wait to buy it.
Yeah, I was really excited,
DVD.
And then all of a sudden I realized,
it kind of faltered. I mean, not to say that it's not still a powerful movie, but yeah, I'd say all the power in that movie just goes into the Let It Go sequence.
So Moana
kind of thing.
wins.
I think Moana takes
this
I don't think that was an argument.
Yeah, and also Let It Go. I like that song, but it was a song that my work had it the radio on.
Oh, I could see that.
And on the radio, I don't know what station it was. They played it so many times.
The Disney station.
It had to be Radio Disney.
It was it was weird. It was like a regular local station.
Crazy.
They just played that song so many times.
Okay.
So I have a distinct memory of being really again.
So so moving on to this next one. This one I think is one of my hardest decisions. So Hercules and Aladdin.
It's not for me
either.
Both hold a very special place in my heart. Aladdin, as a kid, I had an Aladdin Halloween costume. I refused to take off. I wore it all the time. Okay, regardless of what day or time it was.
I can't see a picture.
I'm 4-year-old me in Aladdin.
That's so cute.
I wore it until my parents or my mom had to show me that it no longer fit me, and I no longer could actually wear it. And
just for reference, I have seen a picture of him in this Aladdin costume. But I think the better part is he was asleep on like the edge of the couch. And when I say the edge of the couch, I don't mean like the part where you sit.
Yeah, I'm like
in the back of the couch.
I used
like
to. That was another thing. Yeah, I would do this thing where I was like a cat, where I'd lay on the back of the couch with my arms and legs like hanging off the couch. It was like the most comfortable position.
Yeah, asleep like that in his little Aladdin suit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Now, and once again, Aladdin has a great one. Even, of course, who doesn't love Robin Williams as the genie?
Yeah.
Which I'm going to call out Will Smith that you got some shoes to fill.
He doesn't even have.
Wait, what?
This
for the live action Aladdin movie that's being,
and Will Smith is supposed to be the genie. This is a different conversation, but I'm not.
Yeah, I'm just
Side note,
this is a whole other discussion, but that's all I'm going to leave it at right now. Is
why not like The Rock again? Because
I know
be amazing. He's even got the size too for
Smith,
like an imposing
honestly,
genie.
Honestly, I would even say someone like Kevin Hart.
That would be hilarious, actually. Yeah, that would actually be hilarious. Yeah,
Kevin Hart is amazing.
I'm almost afraid that we're gonna get Hancock as the genie, and not like I want Fresh Prince as the genie. I don't know
if I even want that. I'm so sad. We're really getting into
Anyway, So Hercules. Hercules is another great one because once again, childhood movie came out when I'm when was that, 96 or something? I want to say.
Hercules is my winner.
Yeah.
That came out, I remember getting this on VHS for my birthday when I was 8 years old. And I remember because I came home because my mom had like decorated the house. I wasn't expecting anything. I just came home and she had decorated the house and there were like streamers everywhere. And before we even got into the house, she like handed me this movie.
Nice.
So I was like already excited. I walked into the house, didn't even notice. Did not notice the entire house decorated. I was just like, Hercules, Hercules. And then I look up and I'm just like,
oh, man.
This is amazing. So biased.
Yeah, I'd say, and Hercules for me was a great one because, once again, childhood, and I think Hercules is what spurred my love for mythology today. I think it was watching the movie Hercules.
Yeah.
However, if you're a diehard fan of Hercules in the Disney feature, and you're like, oh, I really want to learn about Greek mythology, be ready because it is a completely different character.
But you know what, though,
the actual mythology.
Most of that mythology, like, there's like 6 stories for each god. So
for the most part, none of them paint them in a good picture like Disney does. That's for damn sure.
I mean, that's kind of like the Disney trend, right?
Yeah. So what about you, Emma? What are your thoughts on Hercules Aladdin?
I think this is going to be childhood versus childhood. Just for me, it's hands down Aladdin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah.
And just because, 92 versus 97. So, 92, or 97, I was 17 years old, or 16.
Fair.
92, I was like 9 or 10.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the movie that was after my all-time favorite, which we're coming up on next. And, I think. And so it was like, there was the anticipation of like, oh my god, I can't wait to go see it in the theater. I went as soon as it came out. And the music was amazing, the romance, and, like, I can show you the world. I'm just so sweet. And I love Robin Williams. And I thought he was one of the funniest. I think the first character that I was like, wow, this is hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't think there were a lot of really funny Disney movies that I could recall up until that movie. They were more like sweet and cute with like some humor, and I was just like, oh my god, it's so funny. Like, you ain't never had a friend like me. Like that whole oh my god. So this is an obvious choice for me. I think I might have seen Hercules once.
Oh, nice.
This is probably like a good thing that you guys are citing because like I do really like Aladdin.
Yeah.
But I didn't find it funny. And I really did not like Jafar, especially, remember when he was in like his little like hoodie thing and trying to convince Aladdin to get the lamp?
Jafar is such a great villain because...
Oh, he is.
Yeah, like...
But it freaked me the F out.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna fast forward.
Yeah.
Lion King too, when Mufasa died. Sorry, spoiler. Just kidding.
Yeah. I'm sorry,
I fast
spoiler.
forwarded that. Nope.
Yeah, that's such a heart-wrenching scene.
Oh, God.
Like, yeah.
So, probably very biased on this. Super good experiences with Hercules, not so great experiences with Aladdin.
Yeah.
But not to say that it's not a wonderful movie. I totally get that. And so...
Also, I absolutely, once again, we're going with the same trend previously of movies turning into series. I loved the Aladdin TV series.
Okay.
And I never once saw the Hercules TV series.
These all have series? I didn't even know.
Aladdin and Hercules.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Hercules was dumb because it was when he was younger.
Yeah, it was
so
during
still,
his
like,
whole training period
Prequel or
type
something.
thing.
Yeah.
Prequel series.
What did they call
Well,
it?
it was more-
Jerkules?
Yeah, it was like that. Yeah, it was the in-between when he was still, the teenager. And was it during his training, or was it just like while he was
I
just
think it
kind
was
of...
before, because he was friends with Icarus.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So they brought in more of the myth to it. I don't know. I never, once again, I probably caught one episode, but Aladdin, I did it all the time, and I think, it's a bittersweet for me, whichever one goes forward, but I think
It's up to you,
Aladdin,
man.
I think, might be the...
Oh, you're going to Aladdin.
I'm going to go with the classic one.
Okay.
In that one. I'm going to go with the older and the classic. However, I will say, Hercules, I think I know, like, almost that entire soundtrack, like, front to back, though, in comparison to Aladdin. But, yeah, I'd say Aladdin moves forward.
Right on.
Okay, so now I think we're getting to your side, and I almost feel like this is probably going to be another unanimous one, Little Mermaid versus Pocahontas.
Let's just vote right now and see what happens.
So 1, 2, 3.
Little
Mermaid. Yeah.
Yay!
Like, Pocahontas was good, not accurate, a little bit awkward. Music was great.
Mm-hmm.
That about sums the movie.
Yeah.
So, Little Mermaid, I was 6 years old when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
And being a little girl and seeing a princess movie, like, not to be, like, biased towards, like, oh my god, but, yeah, it changed me, man. Like, I think that was the first time I ever, like, understood romance. Like, had crushes, like, like, kiss the girl, that whole sequence was just like, oh my god, he's so cute. Like, like, the first time I ever saw, like, a romance where I felt it.
I would agree with The Little Mermaid for growing up for me because my sister was born in 85. And so for her, Little Mermaid is her movie.
Yeah.
So me growing up, it was basically between Aladdin and Little Mermaid.
Sure.
Yeah,
You know what?
I just saw Little Mermaid all the time.
Yeah.
What's up?
Even though we voted unanimously, you guys just helped me realize that I actually like Pocahontas more.
Really?
Yep.
Why is that?
I like the music more. I think Pocahontas is a much stronger woman.
I can see
Yes,
that.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think Ariel is dumb as F.
A little bit.
And Prince Eric...
However, I will say,
Dare you? Just kidding.
I like The Little Mermaid because, well, first of all, once again, that was something that I grew up with. I think I've seen Pocahontas once,
Yeah,
and
maybe
I
it's
keep
like
getting,
2 times.
I get Colors of the Wind just around the river bend.
Yep. Everyone
I
gets
could
those
never
songs
remember
confused.
just around the river bend until I heard the chorus, and I'm like, oh yeah, they almost sound exactly alike.
I don't actually remember like when those movies came out. I just remember I rewatched a lot of Pocahontas.
Pocahontas, I think, came out.
I did for The
early
Little
90s,
Mermaid
I wanna
also.
say. Yeah.
Like,
Part
I
of
watched
your
all of them.
world under the sea.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
In comparison, it's
And-
still good. Don't get me wrong. I
Also,
didn't like.
we know our. Okay, go ahead.
Sorry.
Forgot what I was gonna say.
Nice. I was going to say, we also have our own real life Eric and Ariel.
That makes me
true.
love the movie more.
in the form
I'm
of
not
our
gonna
friends
lie.
Eric and Heather.
They're super precious.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah.
I will vote for Little Mermaid on this one. Like, I get why a lot of people don't like Pocahontas. I just really liked watching Pocahontas over The Little Mermaid. I would rather, like, if somebody's like, what movie do you want to watch? I'm going to say Pocahontas.
So that should be your
Nice.
vote. That's fair.
So that's, yeah.
I feel like that if you'd rather watch that one,
Yeah.
that makes sense, and that should Not that I'm telling you how to vote.
Yeah.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that seems like that a movie that if you like the music better and you'd rather watch that one, then...
Yeah.
Yeah. But, like, I'm definitely, like... I think if I was born a different time, I might feel differently. But first, because I was 6, and because I was, like... I remember this distinct memory of, like, running into Price Club before it was called Costco.
Oh, I remember Price Club,
running in and, like, being... Like, we would get presents for Christmas, but it was, like... I don't know when it was released, probably the summertime, and I just remember being like, can I? And, like, going and getting the pile of those big things. You know, I have the original one, the one that had the inappropriate stuff on it.
Oh, yeah.
And I still have it. And I can, like...
I do too.
And I remember, like, I have the memory of buying it and, like, couldn't wait to get home and put it in and watch it. So it's like, this is very much like a... Definitely set in stone for me.
Yeah, and I think based off the majority rules, that Little Mermaid
is
goes.
one. What's our next ones here?
So the next one's, I think it's a pretty good matchup, but I think I've already got my decision. So our next matchup is Mulan versus Zootopia.
I'm gonna guess both of your guesses.
Okay, what's my guess?
Chris, I think yours is Mulan.
Yes.
Emma, I think yours is Zootopia.
Yep.
Nice.
Mine's Mulan.
Oh, nice.
Once again, we have another powerful female role in the form of Mulan.
Powerful females, they're sexy.
Yeah.
I don't care if they're under 18.
And actually, of all them, Mulan is just a straight up badass.
She is.
Too. I mean, she's a war hero.
But super cred to... Oh my gosh, I just forgot her name. The main character in Zootopia.
I want to say...
What's her name?
Judy? Starts with a...
Is it Judy?
Starts with a J.
I think Judy's her mom's name, isn't it? Oh my god.
Oh my god, yeah.
Let me look.
I was looking at the year.
I feel embarrassed.
So Mulan is 98. I was looking at the year.
So
I typed in Mulan Zootopia and it showed an image of the bunny as Mulan.
Oh, that's adorable.
It's Mulan.
I want to say it's Judy Hopps, right?
Judy Hopps.
You're right. You're right.
You know, honestly,
she's a very strong female.
She is.
Who is the bunny character?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like strong woman against strong woman.
I will say Zootopia had a great, like don't let society tell you what you're meant to do kind of thing, with Judy wanting to become a police officer and everyone saying, no, you can't do that. Maybe you should do this. And she's like, no, I'm doing this. I don't care what people are saying to me. I'm doing that. Mm-hmm. So I get the sense of, like, especially in today's society, like, go out and do something, live your dream kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Mulan, kind of the same thing, where society tells her, no, this is the role you're supposed to play. And she, has to disguise herself. But she still comes out freaking taking on hand to hand.
But you know what? Even though they're both, like, super persevering and, like, defying the world, Zootopia is selfish.
A little bit. I could say a lot of the characters did. I will agree. A lot of the characters did have some pretty selfish reasons for doing it, which was basically, I want to do this because of me.
Yeah, and that's
kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's definitely more related to our culture, though. It's all about me. Where, like, Mulan, for the time period, and also that movie, it was very selfless, where, like, you do it for other people. And, Chinese culture, it was very much about respect and honor to your family.
Yeah, especially that, like, ancient Chinese kind of, aspect. And that also, I'm going to go back to the soundtrack. Mulan soundtrack, I think, is much better.
Well, it's more...
I like the Shakira song, but yeah.
The Shakira song
I
is good,
actually do love the Shakira song.
Too.
Like, love. But it's the only, like, sing-along song. And I think that was a little bit disappointing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, was there not any other singing?
Not really, no.
That's the only one that actually has lyrics to it, isn't it?
Yeah, everything else is just like, background.
Yeah.
I will say this. My vote is Zootopia ultimately, but I could easily give it to Mulan just because, again, Mulan was during that phase of not watching these videos, and so I probably saw Mulan for the first time, I think maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Nice.
Really?
But I did Zootopia. I think a lot of these movies got funnier, and I think the opening sequence where she's like first goes into the city and
blood.
Like the cute little animals, dad, and then she goes into the city and like the animals have like the little like hamsters with like reading the paper, and like giraffe that like had like the upper like thing.
It was a really creative way of how they set up the city of Zootopia. Was very creative and really
so
well
much
done in that
attention
way.
to detail.
Yeah,
and the sloth. Oh my god, so funny. I love that part. Like there were parts of it I'm just like are very memorable for me. So I think I like comedies, and so I'm going to give it to Zootopia ultimately. But
fair.
Mulan had a better message, and I think a better main character.
Mm-hmm.
True. Well,
so and good music.
Yeah.
So something I will point out because I think it's funny, and do you guys remember VidAngel?
Vaguely.
So VidAngel is kind of like a service, and it's been a while since I've used this. I used it right when Zootopia came out.
Okay.
But it was some sort of service where I think it was like $1 and you could like rent a movie and then like the dollar would come back or something after you watch. Like, I don't know. It was like a really weird system that I was like, oh, I'll barely have to spend any money. Yay. Yeah. Anywho. Oh, that's what it was. You buy the movie and then if you decided like you didn't like it, then you can change it to you only rent it and it's like 99 cents. So it sounds...
Oh, it's all digital?
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. So it sounds awesome.
Huh.
But VidAngel's thing is they do like a censorship, and so you can choose the things that you want to censor. So if you were like a crazy parent and you were like, I don't want them to see any kind of violence whatsoever, with VidAngel you could make it that way, which was kind of weird. And I was like, you know what, I'm just not going to use it for that. Except with that service, you have to use something. You have to select something to block out when you watch one of those videos,
and it doesn't differ between the genres of it. It just sees anything that includes that.
Well, as an example, I was like, all right, well, let me try this out. So I'm watching Zootopia.
Yeah.
Disney movie, PG. What could be wrong in this, right? They I think it was like a half hour of the movie there got cut out because it was like violence related. So anything where they got shot with the little blueberries, where they look scary and like attacking or got the scratch on their face. And in the very beginning of the movie with the blood, that wasn't even in there.
That's hysterical.
Yeah. So I like immediately got pissed. I'm never watching this.
Yeah, I wonder where that service is today. I don't even know.
It's still around.
It does?
It's super weird.
Man.
VidAngel, was it like religious based?
It might have been.
Yeah, maybe that's where the angel part comes in. Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's good if you really want to censor what your kids see, but my God, a Disney movie? Come on.
There were some things that you couldn't tell what was happening. And this is, side note, but like, there was things that you couldn't tell what was happening, so it almost ruined the movie for you because you're like, wait, what? Because they just skipped 10 minutes or something.
Skips like, there was probably context in that explains where they ended up now.
Exactly.
Like,
oh my God.
You would not have gained Judy's character for her going, blood, just because... Anywho,
that's
side note,
funny.
So
who wins?
I think once again with majority Mulan.
I'll give it to Mulan. That's fair.
All right, who's next?
So the next one, I feel like this one's probably going to be an easy one, but I'd still say it's probably I think I know who's going to be moving forward. But we got Beauty and the Beast versus Nightmare Before Christmas. Both I'm a huge fan of. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think I'm going to put my way in with Beauty and the Beast.
What are your thoughts, Emma?
Oh God, it's tough. Some of these are like, there's an obvious answer for me, but I hate to see one go away.
Exactly. It's a bittersweet victory, too.
It's definitely... it's hard. This one's hard for me because some of the message of Beauty and the Beast I don't like, but I feel like I have to give it to that one because it's a classic.
So what do you mean by like the message that you don't like? Like the bestiality thing?
No. I mean, no, it's sort of...
Stockholm Syndrome?
That part. It's like, there's something there, and even though he's like kept me captive, and like, I know that's like a controversial and like not,
But you know what? Like, if it was truly like that, then the Beast would have never changed.
Yeah.
Like, he would have remained a beast, and she would have been in love with him. But it wasn't that way. They fell in love with each other, and he turned into a human again, and he's a better person for having her. Yeah. So when people bring up that argument, I'm like, shut down.
And the reason why he got changed into a beast is because that's what his heart was his heart was ugly in the beginning, and that was his curse and stuff. However, at the same time, with the whole Stockholm syndrome, it's kind of funny too, because there was that whole time period too where
that was probably a normal thing.
Yeah, especially because I've been going back and listening to a lot of actually, I'm going to reference. There's a podcast called Myths and Legends. Very great podcast, and he does oftentimes the original or the most original text of these tellings of these, fairy tales or old folklore or legends or myths
some of them
mythology.
Are classics.
And oftentimes in those ancient time periods, or even just like the period settings, that oftentimes marriage wouldn't even happen because of love. It would be like a dowry type thing where it's like, I had to marry off my daughter, and it was just one of those things like, well, I think I'll come to love them at some point kind of thing. And that's just kind of how it worked out and like so many times with society. But for me, Beauty and the Beast, I think, takes it mainly because there's so many more characters that I just love. Of course, the Beast, and the name of my channel kind of speaks to that.
There you go.
Fact.
And of course, I don't know why, but how do you not love Gaston?
Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah.
No one's as bad as Gaston.
Yeah.
Rare. Yeah, I think I'm going to give it to Beauty and the Beast. I'm not a huge... I know a lot of people, Belle is like their favorite princess. She doesn't... Yeah, I don't know. She's
book smart.
Yeah.
She's sweet.
She's book smart and she's sweet.
And I will say
she's not
that...
necessarily a strong woman. She's just well-minded.
And I think that was the biggest thing, especially for that time period and that type of society where, once again, the female role, and Belle was so different because she wanted to be educated. She wanted to, tinker around with her father and stuff.
I do like the part where the people make fun of her for that, and she's like obviously awesome.
Yeah,
no,
she's
always
such
stuck in
an
a
odd
book.
girl.
Yes, how odd. She has to be smart.
To Nightmare Before Christmas, that is, for me, that was where I fell in love with Tim Burton movies. Was Nightmare.
So good.
Yeah, and the music is, once again, really great. And it's that eerie, yet still, like, when you first start looking at it, it's like, should I be terrified of this movie? But then as it goes on, it's like, this is cool. Like,
so I have an unusual comment for Nightmare Before Christmas.
Okay.
Because that was one of the movies... okay, so slight backstory. I wasn't able to see a lot of movies like this in my own home because it was considered like a scary movie.
Yeah.
And I wasn't allowed to watch like Harry Potter, Pokemon, everyone cringe. But when it came to Nightmare Before Christmas, I'd go over to basically babysitter's house and we watched this all the freaking time. It was the best movie. But I don't actually enjoy watching it now.
Huh.
I could see that. I will agree. I think it has something to do with the animation style. Not to say that there's anything wrong with stop motion animation. I love some stop motion animation, but Nightmare, when you go to watch some scenes, it doesn't quite hold up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Because, like, I'll watch something like Coraline, and it's so smooth, and it still has lots of great story and mystery.
Yeah.
Where I do like the unique story of Nightmare Before Christmas, but the music takes it for me. Yeah,
I'd say that's what it is with Nightmare. Like, I could probably not watch the movie. You just put on the soundtrack.
Yeah.
And I'll almost actually recount the scene, but in a more high def version of what the scene was originally.
Well, so my vote is also Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
I feel like mine is too, but I'm like sad about it.
Yeah.
Nightmare, out of all the ones we voted for on this list, it's the most unique, and I'm a huge Tim Burton fan, and I actually like the kind of like old school stop motion style. I like that it's not smooth because you can see that they had done it by hand.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that about it.
Yeah.
I really do, and I like the characters, and I like that it's creepy and it's a Christmas movie, or is it a Halloween movie? Who's to say?
And it's also a Disneyland.
And I will give that if I'd say of all of the movies on this list, that one probably has like the most cult like following to
absolutely.
it, and I think that's where its popularity is, the cult popularity. But yeah, I think Beauty is the winner in this.
Yep.
This has been the hardest one for me so far.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give it to Beauty.
The biggest reason that it isn't very hard for me is I still don't think of Nightmare Before Christmas as a Disney movie.
Technically, it's Touchstone, actually, I think.
But, because didn't Disney buy out Touchstone?
They did, yeah.
So, to me, I'm like,
that was one of those things that, the same thing for me, because I always remember when I would go to Disneyland in October around that time frame, and I'd see all this Nightmare stuff, and I remember thinking, like, that's weird. I don't remember Nightmare becoming, like, being a Disney, and my parents had told me, no, it's Touchstone, which Disney owns, and then, like, learning about some of the other ones, like Old Yeller or some of the other Touchstone movies, like, oh, that's technically Disney. Like, yeah.
Okay.
So are we ready for our next one?
Yes.
Okay, so we got Up versus Brave. I'm going to guess Mashaya's is Up.
Yes.
Yeah. How about you, Emma?
Yes, definitely.
I'm also going to put mine with Up.
I had so much like hope for having this cool, badass redhead, tons of personality, and then just there was a lot of things that didn't hold up. Spoilers ahead alert. The very end of the movie, when the mom gets turned back into human, the dad just kind of like, "Oh, you're human. I was about to kill you. Oops. Okay, love you, babe."
Oh, yeah, especially because, like, it was literally as he was bringing his axe down on her.
Yeah.
She transforms just in the nick of time.
Yeah, there was just a lot of things they didn't address. And, yeah, it was... A lot of things were a letdown. But I love her hair.
I feel like... Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like what I mentioned earlier is that Brave, I think, fit in that Pixar... time period when they were just kind of pumping out movies and it didn't quite resonate, right? It was because a couple of the movies that came after Brave started to like go, uphill.
Right.
I think that was...
But I also think, like, because you made the comment of Tangled and Big Hero 6 being like, oh, these are really good. But I think Brave came out in between those.
Where is it?
Mm-hmm. Brave came out after Tangled. And then Big Hero 6 was just like, what? 2-3 years ago?
Was it? Okay.
Years?
I don't remember the order for that one. And yeah, I agree. I had super high hopes for Brave. Just on, first of all, you got, the Celtic setting, which I absolutely loved. And, this, almost kind of a quirkiness with this super frizzy-haired, redhead, kind of thing. And that was something that I was like, oh, that's super cute kind of thing. This girl's, hair being so... whatever, and
cosplay for her is amazing.
Yeah, the cosplay is amazing that they come up with, but as a character, it's or as a story, it just kind of like it just kind of fizzles.
Up was one of those. I would call anybody cold-hearted if they did not cry in the beginning of that one.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Or at least gotten a little bit teary-eyed or like...
Something. Yeah. I think Up was like the first time I think Pixar was like, wow, you just like talk about just rip my heart out and just kind of like...
Yeah. And every time I watch it, I still get that way.
Oh, but,
in a weird way... Even though it was incredibly sad to see all like the hopes and dreams and how they just kind of like fizzled in a way, it was still very happy and pleasing, and you could feel like you could really relate to the main character. Just like when the house sat on the top of that cliff, you were like, oh God, like you just had to take that deep breath.
It's like even though like he never saw it, like we saw it and we knew that he, in a way, still fulfilled the goal, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Regardless of if he got to see it or not. And yeah, the same thing with even though they didn't get to see their dreams as they wanted it to, and they had to keep on like using that money for other things, it was still like you saw that like contentment of like, okay, we didn't get down to South America, but
we still have
like a great life together kind of thing. And that's just one of those like, like it was just like, okay, maybe we didn't get to South America, but this money still went towards something great kind of thing.
Fresh.
How about you, Emma?
I remember, like, I think kind of like what you were saying, like with Brave, I was like, had a lot of high hopes, and I just remember being like, the mom turning into the bear was like super freaking sad. Like I just remember being like, this is just kind of depressing.
Comfortable.
Yeah, I was just like, this is sad, and I don't know, it was weird. I didn't end up enjoying it.
Yeah. Also, I almost feel like in that same way, I think that Brave kind of misused their casting too, because now that I remember it, Emma Thompson was the mother.
Okay.
But majority of the movie, she's a bear. So you only have Emma Thompson voice acting the beginning and the end when she's in her human form. End. Yeah. And then the father is Billy Connolly, another great, actor, one that I love. But once again, he's only in so many scenes. So it's like, you have like these big name people and they're hardly there. Yeah. Kind of thing. I just feel like Brave was just kind of phoned in.
Yeah, it was kind of forgettable.
Yeah.
And I think Up was kind of unforgettable. Mm-hmm. Like, some of the parts were so...
The adventure book.
Yeah, some of the parts were just so cute and so sweet, and little balloons, and the visual. Like, I feel like there was some cool art that came out of Up. Some of the visuals, like... Wasn't there, like, a dog that could talk? Doug. Doug, it was just...
I love you.
That's... Oh, my God. So, like... It had, like, the funny bird. Wasn't there a funny bird, too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I can't remember it as well, but...
It's so good.
Yeah.
I just watched it recently, too.
There you go. So I feel like I want to see that again.
Yeah.
I think I've seen it a couple times, like, back when it first came out.
Yeah, also, I ended up finding out, as far as casting went, the other old man, the one with the dirigible, I ended up finding out when we recently rewatched it, that's Christopher Plummer voicing that character.
Oh, my God, awesome. Love him. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna give it to Up.
Yeah,
Brave, I did not. Actually, I would say I did not like that movie.
Yeah,
go as far as to say that.
I think it's easy.
Sorry,
yeah,
people.
This one seems like an easy
sorry,
one.
Not sorry.
So the next one, this one, I don't know. I feel like this one might be kind of a tough one. So we got Toy Story.
Wait.
What?
So it's Toy Story 1 and 2. Emma.
Yes.
What do you think we're gonna pick?
Oh, I get to pick?
Yeah. Okay, what's your prediction?
Yeah, what's your prediction for ours?
Oh, yeah. Okay, ooh, guys.
Toy Story 1 versus Toy Story 2.
I don't know what you guys are going to pick. This is hard.
Just try.
I didn't know you guys. I think maybe you guys are both going to pick the original.
That's correct for me.
That's not for me.
Oh.
I think I know why.
Why?
For you. Is it because of Jessie?
I know you were going to say that.
Yeah.
I do love Jessie, but that's not the reason why.
No?
The first Toy Story, when it came out, I did not like.
Mm-hmm.
I have more appreciation for it now just because I know the backstory of it. Like,
yeah.
When Pixar was doing 3D animation, they were like, well, what kind of movie that can we make that would make it seem realistic? Because right now we can only do these plastic appearances.
Oh, yeah, because that was their first, wasn't it? Okay.
And so I super appreciate it for that. And I think there were a lot of good qualities to it, but I really don't like movies that they try and make a character feel bad. Like, I know in the first movie, all the other toys made Woody feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
Because, that he wasn't... Is it good? Because he wasn't, a fan of Buzz. And he was jealous because he's the main toy, or was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And Andy was freaky. Or not Andy. Sid was freaky.
Sid was
like the evil neighbor?
Yeah, he was the one that kept blowing up his toys or reconstructing his toys.
I really liked the Barbie legs with the fishing.
Oh, that one I think freaked me out the most was the Barbie legs.
Really?
Everyone says that it's the baby with the claws, the baby head with the claws was freaky. That one freaked me out, but yeah, those just like those those Barbie legs just freaking, because for me the thing that freaks me out the most is movies that show broken movement, like movies like The Grudge or like The Ring, where when they're walking it just seems like it's almost like they paused it and then kept it going and stuff, and it's just
stop motion.
Yeah, almost kind of stop motioning, or they took out a couple of frames in between movements, so that just kind of just really just sends chills on my spine, and that Barbie leg just and there's no bend to that knee that should be there.
So Sid for me is I don't know if you guys ever watched Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Yeah.
But they had the Randy, the like.
Yeah.
So for some reason, Sid had like this Randy look, and so I remember thinking that as a kid, that like like the bully with the freckles.
Yeah.
Not there's anything wrong with freckles. I'm a freckles person.
Yeah, I like freckles.
But he just reminded me of Randy, and I just remember being like, that made me like him more, even though he was a villain.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, Toy Story, like you were saying, like I appreciated it. I remember appreciating it then. Mm-hmm. I remember going to see it in the theater. I don't know what year was it. Do you know what year it was?
Was it the 90s? No, like it's like 99 or like 96, 97.
I want to say it was somewhere around 95 or 96, I want to say.
I feel like I was young enough to see it in the theater, and I remember being like, wow. 95.
95,
okay.
So I was 12.
Okay.
And I saw it in the theater, and I just remember being like, it was one of those, like, I have never seen anything like this before in my entire life.
Yeah.
It was super
really
cool. And maybe that was like, I was a little bit older. This might be like an age thing where it was just like, oh my God, this is like, like my parents seeing Star Wars, or like, not that I would have created Star Wars, but I just remember thinking like, they're doing something that's never been done.
Yeah, exactly.
This is amazing. I feel like I have to give it to Toy Story specifically for that reason, because it's something that just had never been done before. And it was really cool to see.
So how about, with Toy Story 2?
So the reason why I really like Toy Story 2 is like, and Emily, you'll love this. So when you watch Harry Potter, and you watch the first one, and it has this like warm magicalness to it that none of the other movies have. Not that any other movies are bad. They all have something really great about them. But the way that the first movie was portrayed, you're just like, I am being sucked into this world, and I'm exploring and learning everything with Harry. And that's how it was with Woody, discovering his past. Like the Woody's Roundup. Like, you felt like you were with him, like, discovering his history, like, his past, like, the past that he didn't even know.
Is it in the second one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. That is actually true. And I think that actually sways my answer a little bit, because I do remember... Because, I do actually remember, I did watch Toy Story 2 quite a lot. And you actually just got me remembering, too, because, now that that Woody and all the other characters have settled their differences and stuff, it wasn't about this competition. It was more about the already set up, the companionship, and Woody being taken, and then all the rest of the toys, we got to save Woody, kind of thing.
See, they were helpful. Where in the first one, they were like, "Get the F out!
There was conflict.
You terrible toy."
And I think that each of the characters got to really bring out more of the character personality in the second one, too.
Even characters that weren't really big characters. Barbie had full-on personality. Not anything you like when before the movie where you're like, oh, Barbie, big, no brain. And
I will say, now that I remember, too, Toy Story 2 had hilarious outtakes. Which is hilarious too, because they had to program outtakes. I recently thought about it, where it's like, oh, it's outtakes. These are all mistakes that happen. It wasn't until like years later when I realized, like, wait a second, these are purposeful mistakes. They had to animate these outtakes into
they did that in Monsters Inc. too.
Yeah,
they did that, and I think Bugs Life was my favorite with the outtakes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think my favorite was actually in Toy Story 2 when Buzz is walking down the aisle of all the Buzz toys. And then there's Woody in one of the displays pushing his face up against the plastic window, and then Buzz is trying not to pay attention.
Oh my god, I didn't watch these. I feel like I've seen them, but
it's so great.
I will say this: like Toy Story 2 probably was the better movie. There was a part of Toy Story where it's like, this is new, guys. Look what we can do. Look at our 3D animation.
Yeah, amazing.
And so
lots of credit.
And so, but you can also tell. You go back and you watch it, and it's like. Clearly, they're doing this for the first time.
Yeah,
Toy Story 2 is like funny, and there's the rescue.
Yeah,
it's a better story. I would say it's probably a better movie, but I can't give it to Toy Story 2. But I'm okay with them winning.
Yeah, I feel you.
I think my vote got swayed into Toy Story 2.
Yeah. Okay.
The power of girlfriend.
I get it. Like, I'm not mad about that. I'm not mad about this.
And I think also, too, Toy Story 2 was more in my childhood where I was actually more paying attention to movies.
True.
And I'm pretty sure I've seen Toy Story 2 way more times than I've seen.
I would have loved to see Toy Story 2 more, but I only owned Toy Story 1 at that time. So I would watch it pretending like, this is Toy Story 2.
Nice.
Isn't it funny? It's like whatever you own, you've seen a bajillion times.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, especially when you're younger,
Yeah.
Play it again.
Okay, so Toy Story 2 is moving on to the next round. So next up we have this is an interesting matchup. Coco versus Cars.
I think it's actually Cars 2.
Is it Cars 2?
There's we have a really small picture.
It could very well be Cars 2. You're right. It is Cars 2 versus Coco.
Yeah, the one below is Cars.
I'm giving this one immediately to Coco.
Yeah.
I could give a shit about Cars 2, in my opinion.
I unfortunately have never seen Cars 2, but I have no desire to see it. I just assume I wouldn't enjoy it. I've been heard it's more geared more towards kids.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I recently saw Coco. Obviously, it's one of the newest movies to come out, and I was blown away.
Yeah. The only thing I could take away from Cars 2 is Mater's story, because they definitely brought him out as, instead of just being the comic relief redneck car kind of thing that Larry the Cable Guy did in the first one, they decided to actually give him more screen time in the second one. But that's about as far as it goes. You can take it as that Mater grew as a character in Cars 2, but Coco was just a great story all around. And it's a more recent one, where I think Cars 2, once again, I think in that time period, where Pixar movies were just, it was more geared towards kids and it was just fun and not whatever. You can't really take anything away from it. Coco, there was a huge message that Coco did, and that I absolutely loved. And I'm actually, I just got to see it very recently, so this was very fresh for me. But I thought it was very well done.
I like culturally, it's a Latin story. It's about Dia de los Muertos, and I think, how about a cool way to learn about a culture? Yeah. And, I like that they were embracing that, and, how cool for kids to see that's part of their family and their tradition. Yeah. So it's really cool that they did that, and I think they did it in a way that was, educational, but also very sweet. And it was about family, and it was about, I don't know. I watched it with my boyfriend recently, and we were both just like, oh my god. I especially
with the bond of family and stuff, and especially in Latin cultures, family are so tight knit. Yeah. But I absolutely love too is the other element, because I love anything that has some type of supernatural element to it as well. So you've got the ghosts coming in to the mortal realm, or vice versa kind of thing. So you got the spirit realm whole thing. But I absolutely also love the way they took on the whole idea of the everlasting spirit, after death, in the culture with, you're only going to last in the afterlife if you're remembered in the living realm, with that whole, you could have a second death if people just did not care about you and forgot about you, kind of thing.
It made me think about my grandma. It made me think about my own relatives that are deceased, and it made me think about getting older and my parents, and I felt a lot of feels, and I remember thinking, my grandma, the story, I think Mimi, or I don't remember the name of the lady that
Coco.
Mama Coco.
Oh my god!
Fun fact: Coco is not the child in that.
Oh my god! I forgot.
It is the.
So it's not called Mimi. It's called Coco. Yeah. Duh. Anyway, Coco. Yeah, right. I knew that. So the grandma. I don't know why I said Mimi. That's hilarious.
It's cute. Well, a lot of grandmas are kind of like Mimis.
For some reason, I was thinking Mimi. I don't know. My grandma wasn't even Mimi. So yeah, Coco, the grandma, character was...
Dude, Titus.
Are
you okay?
That was me knocking you on the table, buddy.
I don't know. It made me think about family, and maybe think about that stuff.
I won't say the soundtrack for both movies or whatever. Coco had a much better soundtrack, but I wouldn't say they were songs that I would continue to go back and listen to. Like, maybe I need to actually pull up the soundtrack and listen to it outside of the movie. Mm-hmm. However, I will say I definitely appreciate the mariachi form of it. So, that's my Mexican side, coming out with Coco, that there's just so many to that I just completely, like, when I was watching Coco, I was like, yep, I know what that's like, kind of thing. Like, at the beginning, when the grandma is going to give him another tamale, he's like, no, I'm full. Are you hungry? And, yes, I am hungry for another tamale. Oh, yes, that's what I thought. It's so true. My grandma on my mom's side is constantly trying to feed us, kind of thing is the other thing. And then, of course, it's especially with Mexican families, it's a matriarchy. With that, it's the female in a Mexican family is like the law almost. And there's just so much to that is like that just spoke to me as far as like a cultural thing too.
Yeah.
As far as these two movies, I agree with everything that you guys have been saying, but I don't really care for either one.
Yeah.
I don't have a desire to really watch either one of them again, but if I had to choose, I'd probably say Coco. So I do agree, like, with your guys' decision, but I don't feel super strongly about either one, so this is all on you guys.
I will, with Michelle, after we watched the movie, we both agreed, and this doesn't exist in the same cinematic universe, but as far as, the depiction of Dia de los Muertos and stuff, I think we both agreed that Book of Life, I think, was probably the animation style, maybe the love story. Okay. They did have two different stories, but I think we enjoyed the style and, of course, the music in Book of Life a little bit better. Yeah. But that's, and
it has a different kind of, like, heart feelings. Like, they both have warm feelings, but, I think it was almost in a romantic sense that the Book of Life was better, even if you don't really care about romance. Yeah.
Also, you got Danny Trejo as one of the voice actors. Who
you have
in Book of Life?
What the frick is his name that we were like so surprised?
Oh, yeah, and this was also really impressive, is that one of the other leading roles is Channing Tatum. He does an amazing Spanish accent.
In Book of Life?
Yes. Huh. Yeah. So,
we didn't like that movie as much as Coco.
Okay. But yeah, Book of Life, Coco, two completely different. We're on Disney. So are we saying that Coco moves forward on this one?
Yeah, definitely for me. Honestly, I feel a little bad voting because I didn't even watch Cars 2.
I don't think you should feel bad.
I wouldn't feel bad because the next one, we're about to get into a realm that I haven't seen.
Okay.
Toy Story 3.
Both of you.
Yeah, maybe. Toy Story 3 versus The Good Dinosaur. Right off the bat, I haven't seen The Good Dinosaur, so I'm already going to put my vote in with Toy Story 3.
You could base your opinions off of the trailers.
Mm-hmm.
I think Chris and I had talked about this before. Did you ever see The Dinosaur?
Yeah. The original, dinosaur, right?
Dinosaur.
Yeah.
It was so well done, at least for, the time period graphics-wise. And the story was really good, heartfelt, and even kind of action-packed.
Oh, yeah.
But The Good Dinosaur was kind of like uncomfortably cartoony dinosaur.
I think this one was another one that was heavily geared towards children because I want to say my niece Adeline absolutely loves The Good Dinosaur, but she's 4.
Hate it.
Yeah. And I don't know when that came out, but I think when she saw it, she was 2. So,
I was like, I watch every Disney movie, and I can't stand that one. Yeah. Even when I was watching it, like, on the couch, like, oh, cool, maybe I'll like this.
Yeah.
I was, like, cringing, and I think I ended up fast-forwarding through a good chunk of it and was like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, even if I had seen it, I keep forgetting that The Good Dinosaur even exists, too, as a movie. For me, especially, Toy Story 3 immediately gets my vote because there was a emotional connection to that movie because I connected so much with Andy's story because I did that growing up. I played with my stuffed animals and my toys, and I gave them all a certain anthropomorphic personality to it. and then coming to Toy Story 3, realizing at the time that it released and the story that they were going, it hit home that, holy crap, I have actually aged with Andy, and he's going off to college at the exact same time I'm going off to college, and
really
that whole thing. So yeah,
just like Harry Potter did.
Tear.
I'd say that was the biggest tearjerker moment for me with Toy Story, was being that it was almost my exact same story.
Did it make you want to go back and play with your toys?
It kind of did.
I remember. Okay, I haven't seen Good Dinosaur, but I remember. I feel like I remember there was a part of me that, even though it came out when I was a little bit older, like hearing that Toy Story 3 was being made and coming out, wasn't there a pretty decent gap between 2 and 3?
Oh yeah.
And so I remember being like, "Oh my god, it's going to be so great!" There's a nostalgia factor for it. And then, like you said, the story in the movie was sort of this nostalgia factor, and it was so well done.
Yeah.
And the ending, spoiler alert, when she gives the kids the toys, and they get a new life, and they get a new, the message is just so good, and so, I don't know, I just remember being like, again, it was like this revival of I can be an adult and feel feelings and be attached to these movies.
And I think the way they ended it too was perfect for the next generation of kids, that they gave it to a new child. And what there is, do they they're getting ready to make a fourth one, right? Or something? So now
I think it comes out this year.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I remember hearing news about Toy Story 4 as well as The Incredibles 2 at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. So now we have this next generation of kids now gets to grow up with this little girl, I think. And I think that's such a great, thing.
And what I really like about it is, and I think some of these movies do this better than others, is it was written, kids can appreciate it, and then the adults that grew up with Toy Story, like us, can appreciate it. And it's like, how great are they at making these movies that adults and kids can then also like?
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So I think this one was an easy win for Toy Story 3 moving forward.
Yeah.
Right, Ratatouille and A Bug's Life.
So right off the bat, this is going to be a shocker. Never saw Bug's Life.
Really?
I think you made that comment earlier. I think. Maybe not.
I think I said it to you, not on this.
Oh,
okay.
So I feel really embarrassed about that one. I feel like I don't know how I missed that one.
Yeah.
So so my obvious vote is going to be Ratatouille here, but I really feel like this one's on you guys because I don't really have a leg in the race.
A Bug's Life, once again, our childhood, coming out right before Toy Story 3.
I thought it was right after
I'm sorry,
Toy Story.
right before Toy Story 2.
Okay, yeah, that sounds right.
Because I remember, because this was outtakes in Toy Story 2 that they had Flick and the caterpillar.
Bug's Life was first.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. I thought you said Toy Story 2 was first.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Did I? I thought I said. I don't know. I don't remember. Bug's Life, and then Toy Story 2, because the Bug's Life made the cameo in Toy Story 2.
Right.
Once again, there's that kind of thing where during my childhood, it was a Bug's Life. And I will say Hopper is a great villain. And there was some pretty terrifying parts in it. I've only seen Ratatouille once.
I've seen Ratatouille more than once. Younger, I think I like Bug's Life more, but I think the rat lover in me and the artist in me loves Ratatouille more.
I want to lean towards Ratatouille, even with the one time, because, especially with the way that they explain the art of cooking and going into certain, dishes, and how it wasn't about just doing the recipe, like how the recipe says. It was about putting your soul into what this dish was and stuff, and the way that she explains the bread.
You know what?
Kind of thing,
I'm giving it to Ratatouille for the way that they explain the bread and the crunch and the sound and the flakiness. Yeah. Just for that alone, because it has made me appreciate bread more than I ever thought I could possibly.
And I think I need to see Ratatouille again to appreciate it more. But I think I want to put my vote in with Ratatouille because, especially with you've seen it a lot more times, but you keep referencing some of these scenes. I'm like, oh yeah, that did happen, kind of thing.
Music
And it's
was
just
good too, even
yeah,
though it wasn't lyrical.
yeah, it was
French?
very atmospheric. Yeah, it was very atmospheric French setting.
music.
I like cooking.
Yeah,
I like food.
and it's modern day French, right?
Yeah, because they had like the mopeds and stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, I feel like I think I need to go back and watch Ratatouille, but I feel like Ratatouille just has the more, story that just kind of endures a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Emma?
I like Ratatouille. I need to watch A Bug's Life. I feel like this is making me want to go and watch it.
You want to watch all the movies you haven't seen, except for The Good Dinosaur because it was terrible.
And maybe I'll watch Cars 2, but I'm like, about it. Out of all the ones I haven't seen on this list that I've already read over, Bug's Life is the one that bugs me.
Nah, I would recommend it too because there's like some jokes in there.
It's some pretty fun.
Yeah,
I probably wouldn't say it ages very well.
It does. The humor does.
Okay.
The humor ages well. The graphics don't. In fact, I will say, as an artiste, that when you go and watch it, you're like, where is the contrast? Like, everything feels like the same color, even though you know it's not.
You're right, yeah.
Well, it's 98 versus 2007.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there was a major... I looked up the years.
Nice.
And so there's a major...
difference.
Difference. Ratatouille, I love food. I love cooking shows. And I love food.
Yeah.
So...
Like, I might have said A Bug's Life, I think if it did have, like, an updated look, but just because of the look itself, it just didn't age well. Like, Toy Story aged better, and all the old 2D movies aged better.
Maybe they'll do a live-action version.
Maybe.
Yeah. And I think also, I just remember this because I just learned this information. Ratatouille is Brad Bird, who is also known for Iron Giant and The Incredibles. Two other just, amazing movies, too, as well. So I think Ratatouille takes this one.
Yep.
For sure.
So we've got, next up is Finding Nemo and Inside Out. I think I know Michelle's vote.
Ouch.
On this one.
What is it?
Inside Out.
Yep.
Yeah. I think...
Because I'm Joy.
I'm sad.
Especially us... being adults and watching Inside Out, that is an adult's Pixar movie.
I get that kids like it. Like, I know Adeline, our niece, really likes it, but she's not going to understand it near as deeply as we do.
Until she watches it again at some point, and she's like, holy crap,
gosh,
is this what I was watching?
My brain has evolved.
Yeah.
It feels. Yeah.
And Finding Nemo was a good one. Once again, you have a great adventure movie.
I feel like there's a lot of people that would be listening to this and being like, what the fuck are you picking right now?
I cannot wait to see if there's going to be any comments, because I imagine that we are definitely on the opposite side of a lot of these decisions here. But I think Finding Nemo is a great one, and it did spark, a lot, with, as far as, I think Finding Nemo was a good marketing movie, because there's a lot of toys, there's a lot of stuffed animals. How do you not look at Nemo and be like, oh, I want a plushie of Nemo, kind of thing. True. And he's
Dory.
cute. The spin-off of Dory is a great one, but Inside Out as a standalone movie is just so powerful.
Yeah, it really was.
Not to jump ahead, just a side comment here. I'm really, really mad that they put Cars 2 on here and not Finding Dory. Just personal opinion here, that bugs me.
Yep.
It's like, if anything, they should have changed.
But you know what? Maybe it's just because I've never seen Cars 2, and I don't really care
about it.
Yeah. But actually, I will agree. The fact that Cars 2 won out in a popularity over Finding Dory,
that's all sad.
Incorrect.
Yeah.
Incorrect.
So this one, as I'm looking at this matchup right here, it's actually tough. I feel like visually, Finding Nemo was visually stunning, and it was one of those things that you could see Pixar's progression as artists, that they the water and the coral and the things that were flowing and the way that they were able to animate it. You could tell that they were doing something new again.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing it, and the music and the sounds and Crush. The turtles I loved, and so this is a very difficult one for me.
I will say, yeah, Nemo did have a
hard.
great cast of characters, and
love
especially, you know, some of the lines that you could, you know, relay back, like, you
Mine?
know, yeah, mine, or the, you know, how do you know? Well, man, when you know, you know,
Yeah.
Escape.
yeah.
Hello, my name's Bruce.
Yeah,
my
Shark Day,
God.
hoo-ha-ha.
It's really, there's so many, it's hard. This is a hard one for me. I feel like I'm going to give it to,
It's Inside Out?
Yeah, hey,
know what?
I think I'm being put on the fence again now, because I wanted to say Inside Out unanimously, but now looking back at it,
No, you know what? I think I just personally like Inside Out better. Like, I would rather rewatch that. But the better movie really is Nemo. Like, everyone can enjoy that.
I could say, and Nemo definitely has a rewatchability to it that you could watch it and you could feel great about, you know, where it went. Inside Out, you almost kind of have to mentally prepare yourself for what you're about to get into with Inside Out.
like, full
Kind of thing,
disclosure,
'cause-
I saw it and I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I'm all about feelings. So I went home and I bought it. Haven't watched it.
They beat you over the head with feelings in that one. And it was, I mean, it was basically like the opening scene of American History X, but with feelings. Like,
Yeah, I was all about, like, watching this movie and, like, one little, like, and little characters from my office, like, how cute, you know, like, they all have little feels. But I haven't watched it. If I'm being totally honest here, I have not watched it since I bought it.
I feel like now I just want to randomly send to my friends, anybody who's seen the movie, and just be like, double mint gum, and it's trouble it.
I'm really torn here, guys. I kind of want to, like, see what you guys vote, and then...
I'm really on the fence. Do we need to have a tiebreaker on this one, or are we saying...
Is anybody leaning towards one?
I'm saying Nemo.
I think I'm leaning back to Nemo as well. I started out Inside Out, but I got swayed back to Nemo in remembering.
I think I'm going to go with Nemo here, and I feel like I'm like...
It's kind of like the Toy Story argument. It's just exactly what you were saying.
Yeah.
It's just, it's so...
I'm sad.
They stepped up to the plate. They took on a new challenge. Where Inside Out, it was story based, maybe a new challenge.
Mm-hmm.
But visually, it wasn't.
Visually, it wasn't.
Not exactly.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a challenge. Kind of like, well, and we'll get to this in a moment, but there's another movie we're coming up to where there was like 4 different challenges in it, and that's my vote.
Nice.
But we'll get there.
Okay. Well, so I think we're about to. So
I think
we agree that Nemo's moving forward.
Nemo.
I think Nemo has our vote.
Okay. All right. So Monsters Inc. versus Cars.
Boo, Cars.
Yeah, I'm already going to put it with Monsters Inc.
Monsters Inc. I don't want to argue this.
Yeah.
I remember Monsters Inc. is one of my
favorites.
Yeah.
The Doors, like, super creative. You remember when we first saw that and we were like, oh, magical and, like, scary and cool and, like,
So, real quick, let's just get it out of the way. Let's just discuss briefly Cars, and then we'll get into what we love about
Okay.
Cars
Monsters
is for
Inc.
babies.
It definitely was geared towards... I think Cars was definitely geared towards more kids.
Yeah.
Once again. It was fun to watch.
Music was good.
The music was pretty well done. But yeah, it's basically, it was kind of like watching the Chevron commercials in a feature-length film kind of thing. And
do you remember collecting those toy cars?
I did not. I never actually did. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I had a couple of them.
So, I mean, it was, once again, it was fun. When was Cars? I want to say I was relatively young.
Wait, no. It
that was like high school, wasn't it?
2006?
Okay.
Is that right?
Were you and I dating
No.
at that time? Was that like just before?
I know this because my very first job was at Harkins.
Okay,
the
there you go.
very first day was the Cars release.
Yeah.
And it was... I think I was 16.
Okay.
But it was definitely before you and I were dating, so...
So, yeah, Cars is fun as far as, like, the cars and racing aspect of it. Maybe a little bit of a growth story.
Oh my god, okay, sorry, real quick. My interview for that job was the same day, and now I know, I was 16, was the same day that, right before my interview, I had gone and seen, what's that 666 movie?
Oh, The Omen?
Yeah, I saw The Omen right before, and then that's also happens to be... I saw it at 6 o'clock, and you were in that same theater. We talked about this years later.
Yes! We were like a couple rows different from each other because we saw it on that same day, yeah.
Before you were dating?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We saw...
Yeah, because it was when we... It was after we started dating.
Are y'all cursed now?
Yeah, it was after we started dating, and we started talking about, like, oh, did you ever see this movie? And we kind of, like, when we saw it, we're like, are you kidding me? Like, we were in the same theater, apparently.
Yeah. So anyway,
okay,
Cars
so back
came out
so
in 2016.
Yeah. And it was a fun movie, but, okay, Monsters, Inc.
2006.
Yeah, 2006.
Okay, so 16.
Sorry, not 16.
Okay.
We were 16.
Yeah.
That's why I said that.
So Monsters, Inc., just all around a much better story, a much better relationship between the monsters and Boo.
Oh my god, Boo, little voice. I loved her.
And even from the trailers, you know, when you see Boo getting chased down the hallway by the monsters, and immediately them being chased by Boo because they're afraid of the children. Mm-hmm. You know, it's such a fun.
Oh, so creative.
I like the story about, you know, you gotta give the kids to scream that powers the city, and then spoiler alert at the end, it's really laughter that like really powers them.
Yeah, and it's like a double meaning because they're like, oh, it's cute for the story, but like, you know, the words. But basically the laughter is stronger than fear, like just in
it's
reality.
Cute. Yeah. I'm a big John Goodman fan. I'm a huge Billy Crystal fan. I like the comedy. I like you're saying the Doors. I like the creativity of it.
Mike Wazowski.
Yeah, I really loved it.
And I will say, John Goodman is a phenomenal voice actor. There's just something so... Like, especially, there's something just so, like, fatherly about John Goodman when he voice acts the role. Mm-hmm. It's just like, just hug me, please. Like,
I want him to hug me.
Oh my god. Roseanne, Dan Connor, I mean, he's like the ultimate dad.
I mean, I want him to hug me as Sully, though. I want like the furry belly.
Oh, that'd be such a comfy hug. Yeah. Could you imagine that? Oh man.
The Pixar, they have like a giant chair that you can sit in, like a giant one, like one that like to jump up onto the cushion that you would normally sit in.
Oh, nice!
It's like above your head.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So my funny story about Cars, it came out in 2006. 2007, I went to Europe for a friend's wedding, and we stayed at a bed and breakfast, and she had a little son there, and so he had this like cute little Scottish British accent, and he had a little Cars toy. So he's like, "This is Tomato." And he had this like, adorable little accent. And you know, like, Tomato had this like deep southern accent. And it's like little proper...
This is Tomato.
This is Tomato. And I started being like, you are adorable, kid. And I was like, knew all the characters because I'd seen the movie. And so he like thought that was so cool that I knew what they were. And it was just like so funny to hear him like tell me all their names in this like cute little like British or Scottish accent. I just loved it. So that's my memory of it.
I also want to say with Monsters Inc., there was a huge amount of suspense in when they're being chased around, and then there's that whole, you know, the idea that they could be separated kind of thing, and like, oh, will they be able to like see each other again when the door gets destroyed? Spoiler alert. And I will say
spoiler alert.
I know.
Before.
I will say a level of disappointment in Monsters Inc. or Pixar when there was a talk about a sequel. I so wanted to see where the ending was because it was such a heartwarming ending when they finally got the door and Boo was older and you hear her aged voice recognizing Sully after however many years, and when there's a Monsters Inc. sequel, I wanted that age transition later to see an older Boo and see the same type of family connection later, and then they took it to a prequel kind of thing.
Was it supposed to be a lot of years?
Well, I don't know exactly how long it was.
Prequel, like the actual age between the first one and then Monster University came out was several years, but Monster University was just how they got into like the scare room.
No, I remember that, but I mean, like the ending where he finally goes into Boo's.
You can hear in her voice that I mean, you don't actually see it, and it never actually says how much time has passed. But when he finally puts in that last and he opens up the door, you can hear her voice has changed.
Really?
Yeah,
just a little bit. Yeah.
The final ending with like his like smile.
Yeah,
and that being the ending, like this might be my favorite Pixar movie.
It was super great.
So,
and I think have we made the decision on who's moving forward?
We made it right away.
Monsters Inc. is moving forward. I already know Michelle's choice for this one. Incredibles and WALL-E. I'm actually going to agree with Michelle with Incredibles.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear your guys' reasons.
Okay, so I guess I'll go first. I'm going to vote WALL-E. I love the message. Mm-hmm. It's a sad, like the little like isolation of like his little life and the trash and like the people that are like just consumed by media, and I think that the little dinosaur, the little robot is really, really cute. I maybe it's like an age thing. Like I just as an adult, like really the message at the time the movie came out was like so meaningful for me, and I honestly like I'm not a huge like action superhero person, and I think that The Incredibles sort of speaks to that a little bit, maybe.
Sure.
I just really like it. I think again, this is like it punched me in the feels while they did. I did like The Incredibles, but I really, really, really liked WALL-E.
I'd say for me, it was exactly the superhero thing with Incredibles. It was just action packed. It was a lot of fun. With WALL-E, it was very well done. I feel like that was another one of Pixar's trying something new kind of thing, and they knocked it out of the park. With somehow the first half of the movie having zero dialogue, and yet you fell in love with this character based off of robotic emotion somehow that was emoted in this robotic thing. The other thing that kind of got to me, but I was like, how the hell is the goddamn roach? Okay, I cannot stand roaches.
Oh god.
Okay,
yeah.
I see a roach on the first one out of that room. Okay,
yeah.
And somehow Disney got me to fall in love with the roach in some way in the form of Wally's little sidekick.
It was cute.
Okay, that's probably the only roach I will give it to.
Yeah.
And the kind of apparent love story in WALL-E was really well done. Between Wally and Eve. But for me, WALL-E I can only watch like a couple of times before I was like I can't but Incredibles is just so like for me just has so much rewatchability to it.
Out of any of the lineups we've had, this is the hardest one, and I will immediately pick The Incredibles because I feel like I can relate to it so much. I'll start with WALL-E first. WALL-E I love a lot because I'm super about the eco-friendly. I love any kind of expression without words. Like you guys both know I'm a huge Miyazaki fan, and it's not about the dialect. It's just not about words. It's not about being verbal. It's about seeing people, or in this case, robots, and relating to them and understanding them visually. That just really hits me in the feels. What I really like about The Incredibles is their story of their superpowers and what it represents for them. For example, the dog, I don't know why I said the dog. The dad, he's a strong man, and yet he's the most sensitive one, it seems, of them all. The mom is Miss Flexible. She's like Elastigirl, basically. And she's forced to be rigid just because she's growing up, or she has growing kids. She has to put like those rules in place, kind of. So she's used to being in mom mode. You have Violet, who her superpower is to protect herself and like have the shield around her and become invisible, but all she wants is to be seen. Yeah. You have Dash, who is speed of lightning, you know, super fast. But like, what's most important for him is to be able to slow down and appreciate what he has around him, and not that it's just about using your superpowers.
Yeah.
And even Jack, like, he doesn't have a ton of personality other than being a goo goo gaga baby. But I thought it was cute that the baby's just kind of like, whatever, I'm flexible. And he's literally flexible.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but like...
with his powers, you know? Like, he's fire, metal.
His powers, and just the fact that it's like, you know, a baby, and I imagine, especially with, like, you know, parents with a newborn baby, it's like, you're just like, oh my god, like, the baby's everywhere. You gotta, like, watch it. And then this baby's like a literal tornado almost, just like with all of its just individual powers that just keep cycling through. Like, holy crap! Like, what is the baby doing?
And I also love the, what's her name?
The babysitter, right?
No, the babysitter I don't really care about.
Oh, the
designer.
Yes. That once again another.
She with the glasses.
Yeah, another great voice.
Remember her
too.
Yeah,
love her. Lots of personality.
Yeah.
A really small space of time. Immediately can tell through little details like what she's like. Yeah, Incredibles takes it for me. But WALL-E is really close. WALL-E's high up.
Oh, I was thinking it was like a grand slam for you for this one.
But Incredibles is a grand slam for me just because I'm so passionate about that movie. That I can watch a bajillion times. I love the behind the scenes.
Nice.
I think there was a lot of things that didn't age super well with the movie, but I still love watching it. I even watched the behind the scenes of what's his face? You guys were just talking about him, the director.
Brad Bird? Brad Bird.
Yeah, who also did Iron Man. You can see in both Iron Man and in this movie, the facial expressions are the director. You can absolutely 100% see it. You can see like stuff side by side and you're like, oh my gosh, that's why a lot of those characters look the same, because it is him.
Yeah. And I think that's also another thing that Brad Bird does really well, is doing the polar opposite of what these characters are supposed to be, such as with each of their powers. They are known for what this power is, but they're not acting in that sense in alignment with their power. Kind of like the same thing, which I mean, moving away from Disney, but with Iron Giant, you know, his idea was and the pitch that he made, which I think kind of speaks to both Incredibles and Ratatouille with Iron Giant, was, what if you had a gun that had a soul and didn't want to be a gun anymore? Kind of thing was that whole thing. Same thing with the Incredibles. You know, they had to go, they're known for their powers, but they had to stop doing, like, wanting to immediately go for what their power gave to. You know, Ratatouille, it's a dirty sewer rat, but
he can cook.
Yeah, but he wants to be a fine chef and be in this clean environment and being seen as not this vermin, you know.
The other reason, and this is what I kind of referenced earlier of why I like The Incredibles so much, when we're talking about like innovation and like taking on new challenges, they struggled. Like, the biggest struggles of this movie was flexible mom, hair underwater, hair wet, and hair in the wind.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Interesting.
Huge things. And they were only like a few minutes altogether of scenes. Like, I mean, flexible mom, of course, she had a lot of, she had a lot more of those moments, but like just the hair alone, maybe a few minutes.
Yeah. All right. So, what are we saying moves on with this one? I think.
Go for it.
I think we agree with Incredibles, based off of majority on that one.
For sure.
Woo-hoo.
All right. So, let's go ahead and move on to our Sweet 16 matchups and see who can move on forward to the Elite Eight. So, first off,
I kid you not. Like those first like 10 seconds, it was like Sweet 16. I was like, what's that have to do with Lion King and Lilo?
Oh, because it's the 16.
Yeah, I got that now. It took me a little too long.
All right, so now in this matchup we have Lion King going up against Lilo and Stitch.
There's an obvious winner for me here, but I'll let you guys talk about it first.
I mean, my personal love is still Lilo and Stitch, but I think with the same thing we were talking about earlier with Lion King, is it just has like the perfect classic songs. Like, has variety, has all the motions.
Yeah, I mean, Lilo and Stitch was fun, but yeah, those were all licensed songs because it's all Elvis. There's nothing. Yeah, I don't think there's anything original, like original scores or anything like that in that one. And yeah, Lion King is just has that like perfect like timelessness about it.
Yeah, and I feel like I can already guess yours, Emma, because you were like,
Lion King.
There's a clear winner here, guys. I'm pretty strongly feeling about that one. The music and the obviously Broadway play the musical, and oh my god, it's just. But it's really high up there for me personally. Yeah. Of all the movies on both the whole list.
And it literally, there was Lion King 2, Lion King 1.5, the new like Lion King series with Kovu and Kiara's kid. I think it was.
Wait, they had a series with those two? Oh,
I haven't seen it, but it's
I remember growing up with the Timon and Pumbaa show was so much fun.
Oh yeah,
The
1.5 though was pretty dumb. I'm not gonna lie.
I never.
It was okay.
To watch that one.
It was basically like Timon and Pumbaa's, like raising Simba. It was during That's why it was 1.5.
It was during that whole transition part, right?
Yeah. So it was like little stories, like, oh, I remember when.
Did either of you guys see the Broadway play?
Yes.
No.
Yeah. Well, yes, I saw it at Gamage.
I've seen behind the scenes videos.
Okay. It's awesome.
Like how the masks work and stuff. That was pretty cool.
It's amazing, yeah. And like the opening sequence when all the animals walk in.
Yeah, I would love to see it on Broadway because it's a much larger stage, and I'd love to see what difference is. But as far as even like with Gamage's stage, they did a lot with what they had.
Yeah, that was a gift. When I went to New York City with a friend, my grandmother got it as like a belated birthday gift for me. So we got to go when we were in New York City. So it was really fun. It was
nice.
Really cool, and I don't know that doesn't really sway my vote for the movie, but it's still for me definitely the music, the story, the cast, everything about Lion King is like it's up there for me. So.
Yeah. All right, so moving on to the next one. I think this one might be a little bit more difficult. We have
Tangled and Moana.
Tangled versus Moana. Yeah, this one's a little bit tougher.
This was like WALL-E and The Incredibles to me, really hard.
Oh, jeez.
It's kind of a similar scenario. I have a personal favorite. Okay, let's talk about challenges.
Like what the characters went through, or
characters went through, and even how we were talking about like The Incredibles, how they had so much to deal with. Like Tangled, they had the long hair. And it was like absurdly long. Like, how do they animate all that hair when it's not something that moves on its own?
Yeah,
it flows with something else, or gets tossed around, or is a freaking rope.
And actually, that was a lot of fun to see all the utility that she put into with the hair. That was really creative on their part.
I was expecting.
It's kind of hair versus tattoos, guys.
Was that
hair versus tattoo?
Hair versus, and that was kind of fun. The anthropomorphic tattoo.
Oh my god!
In the stories with Maui, like every tattoo actually, like literally meant something, and that he got Moana as a tattoo. Like,
also, I thought it was fun too that every shape that he switched to had a hook design on it in some way.
Oh yeah.
So like when
the bird when he would like stretch out his wing, it had like the hook, and then it went to like the chest where the handle was.
Yeah. So like his feather, like the coloration of his feathers did that, or like when he changed into the shark, I think it had something to do with like the scale. Like there's something.
So you could tell it was Maui and be like, no, you're no real shark.
This is the hardest.
Yeah, that is kind of a. I think that's a kind of difficult one. I almost want to say Moana, in my personal opinion.
It's hard because Moana's also newer, so it feels like I automatically want to be swayed. But then I go back to the relationship between, and I know like it's a good thing that Disney is moving away from some of the romance, but the romance in that was genuine. It wasn't just like, oh, I met you and we're in love. They grew actually together in that movie. They built a relationship.
That was a lot of fun. Yeah, especially with first meeting. It's like, oh, you're here to kidnap me or something like that.
Yeah, and it wasn't, you know what? They didn't get married at the end of the movie.
They did not. Yeah,
they got engaged.
They did,
but they didn't get married.
The marriage actually went to a short.
Yeah.
I really like that I feel like if I'm like looking at this from like a what did Disney do here perspective, what they did in Tangled really well was they kind of brought back the like. There's something very classic Disney about Tangled, like bringing it like the classic princess story and giving it like a modern twist. Like she still has that classic appeal and the struggle with the stepmother. It kind of have this little like Cinderella meets Sleeping Beauty feel. I really like that. And so I really feel like the Disney animation studio was like kind of struggling, and this was it. This brought it back.
I think so, and actually that is actually a good example that I didn't even think about because that was Disney going back to its taking from like Grimm's like tales and then repurposing it,
and they did really well. Yeah, and I really remember thinking. I remember personally watching it, being like, I haven't liked a Disney movie in a long time, and I was like, dang, they nailed it, and I loved it, and I watched it immediately, like right away again.
Well, and they were taking, just like you were saying, that they're going back to like the classics, but they still have a modern twist. Like all the cliche princess and prince things, like typically the princess is supposed to save the prince, but it was vice versa in this one. She saved him.
Vice versa.
Is that oops, I'm sorry. You know what I meant.
Yeah, vice versa, vice versa.
Vice versa. And then like things like, she does have the dress, but she never ever wears heels. She doesn't even have shoes.
Yeah. Also the frying pan thing.
She's funny. Yeah. She's the comedic person. She's like they did make it feel like you felt a little more empowered. It's a female character. She was super like, I'm gonna get out of here and rescue myself. And I liked that, but it did still feel like a classic, sort of almost the way it looked, had that classic Disney feel.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of with you. I feel like I loved it, and I loved what they did, but I feel like I'm definitely leaning towards Moana. But I'm sitting here fretting. This is hard.
Well, it's funny too because you actually got me swayed back into Tangled with the classic Disney
that just
idea
made it stronger
back
for me.
to it, especially with taking from the storybooks again. So
maybe I need to give my Moana spiel. So Moana is like something that I think has never been done before. Like even there's like the comment in the movie. She's like, "I'm not a princess. I'm like a chief." Yeah, like I loved that, and I loved her character. I feel like she's been the most. She did, but I feel like Brave failed to do. Like, I feel empowered by her. Her story is amazing. Like, I am Moana. The family connection and the emotion of, like, the grandma like we talked about before with, like, coming back to life. Like, it wasn't a romance. It didn't, whereas I appreciate what Tangled did, it was, like, a whole new story about empowerment and, like, rescuing and being there for your family and your tribe. I feel like, kind of did what Coco did, and it told a new story, but it was, like, really good. And I personally feel like in this movie, the music was better. Like, I'm kind of a Hamilton Lin-Manuel Miranda fan, and he wrote a lot of the music.
Oh, yeah, he did.
So
I would agree with the music.
It is amazing. Like, You're Welcome, and, like, Jermaine, who plays the crab, is like ridiculously amazing. That song is so good. The songs are amazing. Again, the cultural thing, like you're learning about. I mean, of course, I don't know enough about it, but it was still like I feel like I learned something, and I loved the story with the baby and the little thing.
And I will say also, like, anytime, especially with The Rock, anytime The Rock is given the opportunity to do something cultural with his Polynesian and Samoan, heritage, he absolutely loves it. Especially, like, with a lot of the media and the hype around it, like, when he went to Hawaii and, like, he got, he's doing the dancing and stuff like that, and, like, he just gets super into it. Like, especially The Rock, he just gets so into it whenever he gets the chance to show off his heritage and stuff as well.
Moana gave me chills, and really, I remember just being like gobsmacked, like, oh my god, that was amazing. Whereas Tangled, I was like, oh my god, that was so great. It was cute, it was funny. Moana just blew my mind.
Moana was inspiring. Like, it definitely was motivational. But I still think Tangled's the winner in this one just because it is still hitting that classic feel.
It's good.
The Disney classic feel.
It's kind of funny because everything that's being said keeps swaying me back and forth.
I know.
So I don't know. Do we need to have a tiebreaker on this one, or
how do we do that?
Well, are you voting Tangled
know.
and Moana?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's up to you.
Shoot.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I love them both.
No pressure. Yeah,
I
I do love both
I
too.
think I'm gonna go with my initial sway with Disney doing its rendition of a classic tale, storybook tale. So I'm gonna say Tangled
Cool.
on that one.
Cool.
I win.
Yeah. Hey, you know what?
Emma just like, shut up.
I was really quiet in the
Yeah.
beginning because you can't see obviously, but I'm sitting here going, oh my god, what did I take here?
I know. I love them both very, very much, just in very, very different ways.
Yeah, I think that as we get closer to the end, there's going to be some pretty bittersweet victories here. So
I'm already like,
yeah. So next up we have Aladdin and
Little Mermaid.
Little Mermaid.
Oh my god.
So I mean, we've basically got like my childhood versus my childhood, as I said earlier.
Okay, I'm gonna let you guys say something in this regards, and I'm gonna be like, convince me, because these both like are parallel to me, and I know you both are biased towards your childhood films.
It's really like Chris's childhood versus my childhood.
Yeah,
Basically,
it is.
Oh my gosh. I feel reluctant to want to sway somebody because it is so personal to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want to have to argue for like my childhood. You know?
Tell me why you love it.
I mean, a lot of things that I do love about it is so personal. But it's the age, and I'm very attached to the story and the characters, and I've seen it. I've seen it many times. Actually, I've seen Aladdin many times, and maybe as a young girl liking princess movies at that age, I really identify with the Ariel character. I don't know if I do now, but the music. Again, I like Aladdin's music too. But Part of Your World is one of my favorite Disney songs of all time. Under the Sea is like one of my other all-time favorite. Like, I like the romance in the movie, like Kiss the Girl. And Ursula is one of my all-time favorite villains.
I would agree with that.
Ursula is a very
awesome.
She's a great, and of course,
and you kind of like her.
She's also got like such an iconic voice too that it's like especially as a villain, she's got that perfect villain laugh. I can't for the life of me think of who the actress is, the voice actress who does Ursula. But yeah, she's one of those iconic, like when she does that cackle kind of thing, is just so like chilling. For me, I'd say what kind of brings me away from Little Mermaid is there's a lot of with the romance and that whole like building the relationship thing, but I'm kind of swayed away because like one side of it was very powerful with the character of Ariel, wanting to be part of the world, wanting to break the mold, falling in love with her prince, and then there's Eric, who I'm not a big fan of as far as a prince goes. Like, I mean, he seemed almost too sheltered in a way, and also I have an issue with the fact that
he was humble.
He was humble, but I also have an issue with the fact that he's a seafaring prince, and in the beginning of the scene or the beginning of the movie, he almost drowns. And then, which of course, that's where the mermaid. I mean, I get that,
But you know what? John Smith was able to save what's his face, the boy with the cap. You remember that?
Oh yeah, his
John Smith dove into the ocean, was like,
during a storm, and was able to still make land.
Yeah, you're still arguing for both.
I actually don't like John Smith.
Yeah, he's whatever.
But he's whatever, just like Eric to me.
Yeah, and at the same time, he was so easily hexed too.
Hexed? Oh.
When Ursula put the hex on him,
so that.
But witches tend to do that to anyone. Like,
I mean, true.
It's not like willpower.
Yeah, I mean, yes, we are dealing with a sea witch, and a very powerful one.
And like, how often do humans deal with sea witches?
Not
it's
exactly.
like pretty rare. It's like a disease that no one ever catches, so he's like extra prone.
But
to it.
yeah, like for me, it's just like everything just kind of like just kept like hitting Eric, and it was was just like, dude can't catch a break kind of thing. With Aladdin, it's just so great because it's the classic underdog story. He wasn't any type of royalty. He was, as he says, a street rat. And, he's just making his way, to try and just survive. And everything's just weighed against him. And yet still is able to win over the princess's heart. Yes, he did have some magical, trickery with it. But that was more, I'd say it was more, the genie's magic solely only got her to notice him. Because otherwise she probably wouldn't have really noticed, give him a second look had it been any other time.
Okay, so real quick, I would kind of disagree with that because she wasn't a typical princess.
That is true.
She was actually very genuine, and she ran away at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah,
and she totally was like, "Oh yeah, cool, Aladdin."
Yeah,
just meeting him and was like, "This is a cool person."
I do actually forget. Yeah, I do remember because he did
bored by princes.
Yeah,
he was different.
Yeah. And I do say, he did help her out when
Prince Ali first met Jasmine in the beginning. Like, she was not interested in him because he was a prince.
Not exactly. Right. And actually, I'll take it back. So maybe it wasn't more for Jasmine. It was more for the rest of the society to accept.
Yeah. And he thought that's what she needed.
Yeah.
Or wanted, I guess.
I kind of want to make my comment about, I know how you don't like Jafar. Maybe about Jafar versus Ursula.
I know. I think
that is a pretty powerful matchup between the two.
I don't like Jafar.
Yeah, I'm trying to sway her.
I think Ursula, as villains go, Jafar is like, I don't know, Polly want a cracker?
They had to bring in a bird because Jafar was so terrible. They had to bring in the entertaining bird.
Yago was more comic relief, but as far as because he was a sorcerer and was able to ascend to a jinn level in the second one.
He was able to ascend to a jinn level because of Genie.
Yeah.
If Genie wasn't there, then all you would have is a staff, and his staff broke, and he was like...
His staff turned into a giant snake.
I mean, at some point.
Yeah.
But then his staff broke, and it was like... I don't remember what part it broke. I just remember it did break.
It was, I think... was it... I want to say...
I thought his staff was cool.
It actually has been a little bit since I've seen Aladdin, but was it Jasmine that snapped it in half, or...
I think... No. It was Jasmine was in the hourglass with the sand and drowning.
Oh yeah.
And then Aladdin smashed the snake and the staff.
Yeah.
And then that's when Jafar was like, no, and Genie made the comment about you're not so powerful.
But even
Aladdin made that comment,
even still Jafar, even with if you took away his magic, he was still extremely intelligent and figured out the way to get Aladdin to relinquish Genie's control, because there was that whole period where he had the genie who had to listen to him for a little bit.
He didn't relinquish. His bird stole the lamp.
I mean, he still got
it's
it.
Kind of puny.
As just like a personal I didn't like the character. All the parts that he was in the movie, I was just bored. And being a little kid is the villains were scary. I never liked the parts. I liked the parts that were happy and fun. But there's something about Ursula, when she first went in there and Ursula's trying to trick her. It was entertaining.
Ursula does have
Unfortunate Souls was a good song.
And
I hated Scar. I hated Jafar.
You hate Scar?
He's scary.
I love Scar.
I mean, as an adult, but the parts with him, I'm like, you're evil. But Jason Isaac is amazing.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm super biased because I freaking adore witches. So the fact that and I love the sea. So a sea witch is just double. You get triple points.
And I liked. A Whole New World is a great song, and I liked the Genie song.
Genie song, and of course the
Never Had a Friend Like Me.
Never Friend Like Me, and
You ain't never. The very first song that's Once Jump.
That's the one. Great. Yeah, I was like, why can't I think?
Yeah, sword.
The music is pretty good in both of them.
I personally really like Aladdin's soundtrack a little bit more.
Yeah,
because it has both the romantic songs and just straight up just fun songs
I gotta say, I know these movies both very well, but I do find it funny that one song is Part of Your World and the other one's is Whole New World.
Yeah. Also, Then you've also got Jasmine's tiger friend. She's got a freaking tiger.
She does.
Yeah.
But the crab. Sebastian's amazing.
I mean, Sebastian is pretty
Sebastian's
amazing.
the babysitter that's not big enough to hold Ariel back.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of funny because Sebastian is
song.
almost kind of a glorified Zazu.
Sebastian's a glorified what?
Zazu. With just being the babysitter and always having to keep an eye on.
I like Zazu better.
Yeah.
I like Sebastian's Jamaican voice, though.
He was fun.
Yeah.
I love Sebastian.
Did you hear like that was like a racist thing?
They had an issue?
Somebody did, of course.
Nice.
But that he was Jamaican, like it was like a black guy that played Sebastian, so they were like, oh, well, they just got the most racist type of... I'm like, really?
Yeah. Of course they were. Well, I think once again this falls on a tiebreaker with you.
So, okay, as far as villains, Ariel totally wins that. Like, totally. I like Aladdin's music more. I like... As far as princess and prince, I like Aladdin more. You're like... Emma's head's just hanging lower and lower. She's being stabbed.
It's this is how it goes. Yeah.
But even if I don't watch the entire movie, the scene that I love watching over and over and over again is A Whole New World. And so I would give it to Aladdin.
Alright.
Okay.
But man, you really pointed out Ursula, man. She kicks ass.
I
don't know, Holt Sucker's ass? She can't kick.
So...
Aladdin wins.
Okay, I was like, wait a second. Okay.
I'll forgive you guys.
Okay, so next
and once again, the underdog coming out.
Yeah, it really... Well, okay, that was something else, too, because...
Yeah.
I don't get me wrong, I still love the sea. I love mermaids. Ariel's just dumb. And she's 16, but she's dumb.
Also, I think that with Aladdin, I think that there's just so much more magic in Aladdin, like with the literal sense of the genie and the sorcerers and everything, but even just Agrabah as a location, there's just maybe it's that exoticness of it that's like, yeah.
But I love ocean stuff so much, so like, you know, like that's a pretty hard sway.
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh, fish and eels. Flotsam, jetsam. Yeah.
All right, so on to another. I mean, all these are just going to be really controversial. Mulan versus Beauty and the Beast.
Yes.
I'd say, I mean, once again, we already know that we love Mulan as a powerful female character.
For funsies, let's talk about, I guess it's not really the princesses because Mulan's not a princess, but let's talk about the ladies. So Mulan versus Belle.
I mean, technically, especially if we're just going off of just straight verses, Mulan, we know, can kick Belle's ass.
She did go through some hardcore training.
Exactly.
I think Belle might have if she'd gone through the training.
Maybe.
This is arguing like in a fight.
Like in it, like if we're like,
I'm just thinking, who do you like better as a character?
Yeah.
Is it about power and strength?
It's like character? I mean, yeah, it's like aside from like if they were to actually go up toe to toe in a fight, Mulan wins. I think 8 times, at least 9 times out of 10.
Oh yeah.
Physically.
As far as physically, as far as a character, I think I enjoy Belle more.
Me too.
As a character, because I think they did a better job at showing her persevering personality of breaking a mold kind of thing. And also teaching the
And it was
beast.
also like she didn't really care. It's like she never heard that she was a weirdo and she just kind of like, whatever, I just like to read.
I do my thing.
Yeah.
F you.
Also she helped educate the beast in some way.
She did. In many ways.
Yeah.
On how to be a human again.
Human again.
And I think especially, and I think where with Mulan, the same thing of like trying to break a mold, but I think with Mulan it was a much more selfish reason of like, you have to see me as not being this typical woman.
So why do we like Mulan?
I kind of like the music more. Well, I don't know. I love both soundtracks, but
I definitely prefer Beauty and the Beast.
I think the action in Mulan is really fun, but I think with Beauty and the Beast, especially with just more of the characters, like with Mulan, you've got Mulan and Mushu, of course, are I'd probably say my favorite characters. But with Beauty and the Beast, you've got Belle, you've got Beast, you've got Gaston, you've got LeFou. Like,
we didn't talk about those
Lumiere.
guys yet.
By the way,
Gaston is amazing.
Let's also limit this to make sure it's. I mean, I assume you guys are, but like LeFou, I loved in the live action.
That is true. Yeah,
but we're just talking about cartoon.
Josh Gad did an amazing job as LeFou.
And I will say this: like, I actually wanted to bring that up. Like, I really enjoyed. I was really excited about the live action movie. I like Emma Watson. I was really excited to see it. So I watched it. I was like, oh, this is really, really great. And then, like, some friends of mine were like, it didn't compare to the animated movie. And the animated movie, it was one of those movies that I didn't own, so I hadn't seen it a ton like some of these other movies. Yeah. And so I went home and I watched the animated version. Again, really recently, and I was like, dang, this is way better. I
enjoy them for different reasons. I don't compare them as one is better than the other. Like, I don't say like, oh, the anime was better, or the live action was better. They are completely separate. They're separately equal as far as liking my comparison with the animated, because it's animated, you can do so many things with a full on animated things, especially physics wise or things that you can't quite do with an actor or things you can't quite do with CGI. And it's great, and the music is just perfect, and the characters are so well done and animated with the voice acting. You can do all that. What I loved about the live action one, aside from the casting that they had, with majority of the characters, just really fit the bill with who they were playing. But what I more loved was what they did with how they portrayed the story of Beauty and the Beast, because they took elements from the animated movie, they took elements from the original storybook, and they took elements from the Broadway play, which all has a slight difference to it in the way they portray it. And the live action movie did a great job of blending all three of them. That just like I loved how they did that. Yeah.
They did do it. They did do a good job of making it be its own story, and there was it hit you in the feels. Yeah. Like, I think Belle, in the animated movie was like kind of funnier and a little more sassier, and Emma Watson's version was a little sweeter and kinder. Not that Belle in the animated movie wasn't kind, but there was something very soft and innocent about her. And Belle, I
didn't like that.
That's what I'm saying. I think I liked the Belle in the animated movie a lot. Yes. And so for me, it was I naturally watched it with the intent of like, this is a movie. The animated movie is something I hadn't seen a ton. I hadn't seen it since in many, many years. So I was pleasantly surprised about how much I actually enjoyed it. And if I am comparing the two, preferred the animated version.
Yeah,
I think that where the live action one fell, I think a lot of the like. Some of the characters, like the furniture and like the Cogsworth and the Lumiere. Yeah, I thought that they kind of laughed in the live action, and I think they were. And the Be Our Guest scene was so amazingly great in the animated version. I just thought those characters were so great, and I just really liked a lot of the parts in Beauty and the Beast. But also, like I said before, I only saw Mulan very recently and only the one time, so I'm definitely swayed by that. So for me, it's definitely Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, I'm putting it with Beauty and the Beast.
My preferred movie to watch is Mulan over Beauty and the Beast, which is kind of weird because Beauty and the Beast is one of those I grew up on. But I would give it to Beauty and the Beast as well for two things. One is it was one of the first 3D animated things in the movie, and that was the ballroom scene.
Yes.
Oh, that's true. Oh, yeah.
And Beauty and the Beast happened to be the movie that saved the Disney company.
Oh, yes, because that's when Disney Animated hit their renaissance with Beauty. Yeah.
Yeah,
they made a huge comeback.
Yeah, they were about to lose the company, and just... Hell yeah, Beauty and the Beast. So, ultimate cred.
That's great. I like, I could see being swayed by, like, maybe you shouldn't be swayed by those kinds of things, but that does make a difference for me.
Yeah, and I think, Beauty and the Beast, it kind of fits up there with Lion King of this timeless kind of, story and the way it's animated, it can just go to, like, every generation.
Totally.
Kind of thing.
Okay, next up.
All right, so...
Is Up.
Yeah.
And Toy Story 2.
Yeah. Oh gosh!
Immediately, I want to give this to Toy Story 2.
Okay.
And I think that's kind of a biased thing, especially with the way that I was raised to, especially with the way that I played with my toys, in that same vein of giving them that personification kind of thing, like how Andy did. And I think Toy Story 2 is one of those movies that I watched like nonstop when I got it on video.
Yeah.
Up is a great movie, but I tell you that I gotta like put myself into a mental like preparedness for that whole opening to be able to get through the rest of the movie.
Yeah, that is kind of true.
I actually think I would agree with you. I think, and for very similar reasons, like I think I just enjoyed Toy Story 2 was funny and entertaining and a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And Up was cute and funny in moments. But which movie that I want to watch right now and a few more times, I'd probably lean towards Toy Story 2. And I don't know why that's swaying me. It's like, what do I feel like watching right now? But this is going to be a harder bracket because I feel like I've seen these and I'm less attached to these. And I've seen them less.
Yeah.
Well, and when I think of Up, I kind of think, kind of like Inside Out, is that it's in a very adult movie. Like, kids do enjoy it because they don't really understand what's going on. But as you see it as an adult, you're like, oh my gosh, the heartstrings. Toy Story 2 definitely plays more towards children. Something I liked about Up that I feel like it wins a little bit more, and we talked about this more previously too, is that Up has a lot of like little things that are very identifiable, like or like little, what am I trying to say? Kind of like knickknacks. Like they have the adventure book, and they have the goggles like on his wife's head, like, you know, like the little
grape soda pin,
soda pin, balloons. Like there's so many cute little things that bring out the movie and their personalities more.
It's more visually appealing, probably, of a movie too.
Yeah. So I guess in that sense, I do like Up more. Toy Story 2, it's hard too because I like that I was telling you guys about Harry Potter and that those same feels of like warm and understanding his past, like Woody's past.
I will also say, going back to the soundtrack again as well, Up did not have a song with lyrics in it.
Yeah, it did.
Either. And it was funny too because it wasn't until the last time we went to Disneyland that I remember recognizing a song that they were playing at the park. And then our friend Becca got all excited about it, like, oh, because we went in Halloween, we were dressed up as different, you know, Disney characters, and she was dressed up as
the little boy,
the little kid, and the little,
that's so cute.
why can't I?
We just watched
Riley.
this.
No, that doesn't seem right.
I feel like rhymes with that.
So she got excited. I'm like, oh yeah, this was the song from Up. But, you know, with Toy Story, you've got Randy Newman, you know, heading the soundtrack. And yeah.
But did they play all those songs in did Toy Story 2 have like its own song?
Well, they had I think they reprised "You Got a Friend," and then there was a song I want to say that they were played. Yeah,
the sad song. She got left behind.
And then the Woody's Roundup.
Woody's Roundup.
Yeah.
All right, Toy Story 2 takes it.
Okay, cool. I think that's where I was feeling.
Especially because they also decided to add in Buzz's villain with Zurg.
Oh my gosh, that was pretty awesome. It was a new kind of villain.
Yeah.
And it was cool to see Buzz and Woody be on kind of the same side.
Yeah.
That was fun. And like thinking back on when we talked about Toy Story versus Toy Story 2, I really got swayed with our discussion. Even though I think I would vote for Toy Story for the original Pixar, but Toy Story 2 winning has really sort of reminded me about how much I really like that movie.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So next up we have Coco and Toy Story 3.
I have an immediate thought, and I kind of think it's Toy Story 3. I do like Coco, but it didn't really hit me in any of the feels.
Coco definitely did hit me in a number of feels, but I only just so very recently watched it, and it is a very recent movie, and it is a great movie. But once again, Toy Story just hits a lot of feels for me, especially with
Spanish
the story.
Buzz.
Spanish. Malfunctioned Buzz.
And even though he was the bad guy, what's his name? The strawberry smelling bear.
Oh shoot.
it was like in the...
Like, I felt like I could smell him. Like, he'd come into the scene and was like...
I love when we went to the Disney store and they started putting those plushies and we're like, oh, they got the bear. And then we were like,
Does it smell?
It does smell like strawberries. Yeah.
That's creepy. It was like in a daycare, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There
was a couple as far as the adventure that they went through was kind of like tough to watch it, but it was still just more like, especially with the fact that Michelle and I especially, or anyone born in at least 90 or 91, you're aging with Andy and seeing that exact same emotions kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I do make the comment though that Toy Story 3 hits me more in the feels than Coco does, but ironically, and I'm sure we'll come to this, but I like Toy Story 2 better than 3.
Yeah.
I thought it was funnier, and I didn't cry like everyone else did in Toy Story 3. I'm not heartless. I just was like, they're not going to die. It's a Disney movie.
I was about to be infuriated in that whole scene when they were going down the trash chute into the incinerator. And I'm like, I was almost about to walk out of that theater because I was like, is this really how we're going to end this?
No.
And, yeah.
This is a tough one for me because I know that you talked about last time, like, there's a part of me that's like, I'm supposed to like Inside Out. It was so great, and I bought it right away, and I haven't watched it since. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of worried that I feel that way about Coco. Like, it was so... the story was so good. Mm-hmm. And it was an original story, and I think it was interesting. And, Toy Story 3, it's a sequel. And to me, that actually takes away from the points for me because it's a sequel and it's not original. So they're just continuing to tell a story about characters that we know really well, and there's some nostalgia and attachment to that. I think Coco's story is better. I like that it's original. I like that it's about Dia de los Muertos. I like the music is good. But this is hard. It's like, what am I voting for? What did I personally like better, or what was a better story? What was a better movie, and what moved me more? And what is a better movie critically? And it's very difficult for me.
And it's really hard, especially with that, because Coco just came out, basically. So we don't...
You know what?
Yeah.
Coco and Toy Story 3 are kind of like Up and Toy Story 2. Coco was very artsy, and there was just a lot of things that people could relate to culturally, like, again, feels and family. And Toy Story 3 was like, this is really funny and relatable.
Yeah. Well, what I was about to say is because of the fact that Coco's more so recent, and to what Emma's saying is what was just the better overall movie and execution, or which was an overall story, it's kind of hard to predict how far down the road will Coco continue to be remembered, or how far down the road will Coco continue, because it only just came out so many months ago, kind of thing, whereas Toy Story 3 has already been out a number of years.
Okay, here's something else that I think about is if we're going by the general populace, it's like Toy Story 3 was super popular when it was in theaters, and then when it came out to DVD, there wasn't a lot of people that talked about it.
I don't think so.
Coco, everyone was ecstatic when it was in the theaters, and also when it came out in the DVD or iTunes or whatever.
Really,
and just really excited about it.
So should we go off the popularity vote?
Maybe, because we're all kind of swayed back and forth.
I feel like I have to give it to Coco, even though I feel like I did, and I think we talked about before with like Andy growing up and that feeling, that nostalgia, it did hit me in the feels. Yeah.
And the cute toys that they met.
Yeah, it's cute, but it's like it's been done before.
Yeah,
that really that's really ultimately swaying me.
I'm really 50-50 as far as especially like overall feelings. So I could go either way on this one.
I'm giving it to Coco. I mean, I feel like I need to watch it again. I need to like see how much I stay attached to it. I feel like there is it a disadvantage because it came out so recently, and like you're saying, we just saw it. I feel like what I'm going to remember more, I think I'm going to remember Coco more.
I could see that.
Just because it's original and because it's... whereas Toy Story, I'm going to remember the whole thing. Yeah. And not just that specific movie.
You know what? I think I am kind of getting a little bit more swayed in Coco because there is a little bit more of, especially... agreeing with the Mexican culture that they portrayed. I think very well, and seeing that and being like, oh yeah, I totally get see exactly what it is. This is that's my family too, kind of thing.
That's awesome.
And especially just the overall bonds that were even made, especially when the kid was just oh, I'm a kid, I don't want to do what the family wants to do, and then when he has this whole adventure with his family and meeting and trying to figure out his family, and he's oh my god, I now maybe I don't care if they don't quite respect what I want to do, but I understand so much stronger the importance of family bond, kind of thing.
And it has a little bit that underdog feel, the guy that ends up being his dad is this kind of guy that's been rejected and forgotten, and then they realize who he is. He gets a second chance.
That too.
And I grew up loving Beetlejuice and the part where they go back and they go and visit the dead. Those kind of creepy, they're creepy and they're skeletons, but they're also awesome looking. And, that whole world, and you first walk in and you see it all. It's
I guess that too.
Creepy and beautiful. It kind of has a little bit of a Night Before Christmas vibe that I really enjoy, and
that era of once again magicalness about it too.
Super magical. Yeah.
I really can't decide on them, but I'm listening to you guys. I'm yeah, that's true. And then other things that I don't really I don't really agree with. I don't feel like a Nightmare Before Christmas feel because I was hoping to be more involved in that world and kind of I was more interested in their what do you call it? Their little animals.
The spirit guides.
Yeah, the spirit guides. Thank you. The dog was kind of cute and derpy, but why was the derpy dog his spirit animal? Is he derpy, or is that just what he needed?
I think it was just one of those things. I think with an underdog that was that everyone saw the dog was oh, there's something wrong with that dog, or he's just mangy, or
so it's this, a literal translation of underdog, where the grandmother or great or whatever she is, how her spirit animal was super poised and scary and gorgeous and useful.
Where I think with what is it, Diablo, right? Or was the dog's name, or
sure.
Oh, man, I can't remember. Or was it Dante?
Dante sounds more correct.
I don't know. I knew it started with I can remember it started with
Diego.
I don't know. I can't remember. Wow. I guess maybe because the matron grandmother, the great great grandmother with her spirit animal just kind of personified her powerfulness, in the as far as her station in the family,
Mimi
kind of thing. Oh yeah, Mimi, and then the just the fun loving, dog, and I think it's also the same thing where it's everyone didn't look at this dog as oh, he's something that can oh, he's just something whatever dog, and there's oh crap, no, this dog is actually important. It's that kind of think of everyone kind of brushing him aside, oh no, wait, we should be listening to this thing. Oh,
I think
it is Dante.
I personally would give it Dante.
Okay,
yeah, cool. I would give it to Toy Story mainly because I thought it was I thought both stories were predictable. I knew that the toys weren't going to die, and I think we all knew the main character in Coco was going to go to the underworld and meet his family and stuff. And I knew the dad was right away, but...
Oh, really? You recognized? Okay.
When he met him, I was oh, you're important. You must be dad.
Nice.
Yeah, that's good.
Or at least super duper related. I knew it was something along those lines.
Yeah.
But I give it to Toy Story just because there were things in the middle of it that weren't expected. Not only the humor, like Spanish Buzz, but even when they were trying to escape the, what was it, the daycare?
Yeah.
I thought that was more anxiety, anxious for me, and how are they going to get out of there?
Yeah,
because maybe they were going to stay there forever, but maybe they'd be on the good side.
You almost kind of have an almost Bond villain-esque and with the stuffed animal with the stuffed bear.
Yeah, a little bit,
because he was almost megalomaniac kind of. Yeah.
So I vote for Toy Story, but I think you both would vote for Coco. So does Coco win?
I think so. I think the majority takes that one.
Are you okay?
Sounds good. Next one is Ratatouille and Finding Nemo. Ratatouille, you've got rats. I'm obviously a little bit swayed that way. But Nemo, I like the ocean.
I feel like
rats v fish.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, Ratatouille's just a really great, really well done story. But I think like how we decided with Nemo, there's so many elements to Nemo. Mm-hmm. They have to love with the characters, with the adventure, with the building bonds with all these people, especially the learning that happened in Finding Nemo with Marlin being so afraid of the outside world and then having to go and actually be out in the outside world, and then Nemo who wanted to travel beyond and then being like, oh shoot, I just want to get home now. Like
Mm-hmm.
52 with Ratatouille, I don't know.
Ratatouille didn't have the sad moment.
Yeah,
Nemo was up because you were super sad at the beginning. Poor mom, but it was short enough that it didn't make you cringe and super sad.
Yeah, it was that classic Disney thing where it's like, oh, and the parent died, by the way. Kind of thing.
Yeah, Ratatouille. Yeah. I don't think we ever met the mom, did we?
I don't think so.
But it wasn't like she did.
Yeah, and the dad was the creator of the restaurant, right? Or
the dad wasn't the creator. The dad was basically like, no, you need to be a rat like everyone else.
No, not that, but the human chef that Ratatouille worked for, wasn't he related to?
Yeah, he was related to the main, the chef owner that passed away. So I guess in that sense, but we didn't know him or meet him.
Yeah. And as far as the humans go, they almost were faceless to me. It was about Remy mostly.
Yeah. And Nemo they both had similar songs. There wasn't anything super lyrical.
Yeah.
But Nemo had a lot more of the lines.
Yeah.
Touch the butt. Oh, you made me eat myself.
Yeah, Crash. A lot of these Dory's amazing character. She got her own movie because she's so awesome.
Exactly.
Which we don't even get to talk about.
Dory's so cute.
Yeah. And she's Ellen DeGeneres, who I adore. Mm-hmm. And I really, to me, there's a clear winner, and a lot of it's just because I remember seeing Finding Nemo and being again, we talked about, this was something that had never been done before. It was beautiful. The music, I think it was I don't know who did the soundtrack. Was it Thomas Newman? I don't know. Whoever did the music was amazing. It just felt like water, and it was just the production, the scenery, the water was amazing. Yeah. It was just something that I'd never seen before, and Ratatouille, I don't know if I saw it in the theater. I think I've probably seen it once, and I liked it, but Finding Nemo, I remember just being oh my gosh.
I think Finding Nemo has I think Finding Nemo probably takes it with the fact that it's probably going to last longer.
Definitely.
I think.
It's going to last longer, and I did really like Ratatouille, but Nemo, I bought it the day it came out.
Yeah.
And Ratatouille, I still don't own.
And once again...
sad now. I don't own it. Nope.
Oh, wow. And once again, unfortunately, you got Brad Burr, creating almost, I think, another cult following with Ratatouille. I think that's where Ratatouille falls, is under cult popularity.
It's still great,
yeah.
Are we all voting for Finding Nemo?
I think Nemo.
All three of us?
Moves forward. So, our last of the Sweet 16 matchups, we have Monsters, Inc. versus The Incredibles.
Oh, it's like Emma versus me.
I know.
Yeah. I think I might be swayed a little bit more into Monsters, Inc.
I actually would agree.
Yeah.
Because I do love The Incredibles, and I feel like every time that I watch something, or every time I rewatch The Incredibles, I'm just reminded how much I love it. Monsters, Inc. isn't necessarily reminding me how much I love it. It's just remembering those first feels. I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a good movie. And then magic doors, and that went to nowhere, and kind of the fight scene, going through all the doors and
the chase.
Yeah, and making Boo scream or laugh. That was hilarious.
The city was cute. The monsters.
I think this is an easy winner. I do love Incredibles.
It was like, oh no, we're coming to a big debate here.
Yeah.
No.
I thought there was going to be. I thought you were going to sway super into. Yeah.
I know that I'm biased toward The Incredibles, and Monsters Inc. I loved a lot too. I do think that Monsters Inc. University was shit.
Yeah.
I was so obsessed.
There was a lot of disappointment.
It was one of my favorites, and so I was like, I gotta see it. And Chris took me.
When Sully thought that Boo died. You remember that? It was like the trash compactor, and she accidentally got like one of her little she was wearing the suit, and one of her little eyeballs fell off.
He was like, "Oh no!" Just carrying it around. Just.
I feel a little better about letting go of Little Mermaid since you're letting go of The Incredibles.
Yes, I will.
You're taking it for the team.
I don't know if I'm really even taking it for the team. I do believe
it's
so. Monsters Inc. moves on.
I'm so excited about that.
Well, and I would even say, with some of our other arguments, that Monsters Inc. is the more artistic movie.
I think so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a lot of beauty and a lot of, if you were going to have a Monsters Inc. party versus the Incredibles party, what kind of decorations are you going to do for the Incredibles?
Red and black and
Nothing,
yellow.
Monsters
Spandex,
Inc. You could put doors, you could put scary monsters, everyone could dress up as monsters. It's cool.
Yeah. There's a lot you can do with that.
Yes, 1,000 times yes. Super excited.
All right, so we're up to our Elite 8 matchups, and it's just going to get even more difficult from here.
It's stressful for me.
So starting back to the left side here, we've got Lion King versus Tangled. Once again, I think we've established that, especially, Michelle and I really love Tangled for what it is, but I think once again I'm gonna lean more towards Lion King for its classicness and I think it's overall been able to withstand the test of time. Kind of.
I am 2.
I am 3.
We didn't even have an argument on this. It's just
it's who knows? Maybe this might actually just be easier.
Well, because we've had so much discussion about these, and we're just
Lion King has too many moments for me that were just unforgettable.
Yeah.
And then also, the moment you watched it as an adult, you were like, are they having sex?
Oh, yeah, it's so obvious now that
the love song with
Feel
Simba
the Love Tonight,
and Nala.
they totally finished with,
because they were play fighting, and you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And Simba and Timon are watching.
Yeah. They start watching, and then they go, "Hey, maybe we should leave and go do something else and leave them to themselves." Yeah.
I remember watching it as an adult and seeing them wrestle and kiss the cheek. And I remember being as an adult, thinking, "This is kind of awkward."
Yeah. Because it's like watching somebody have sex, and you're like, maybe I should close my eyes and leave the room.
I've been to IMAX where I've actually seen animals actually having sex in Africa. It ain't romantic at all.
No.
There's no music playing.
At least this was
romantic.
There's
no rolling around in the hay. They're doing something to complete a task.
Oh yes.
It's not romantic.
Well, what's that fun fact that humans and dolphins are the only mammals that will quote unquote procreate for not the fact of procreating. They have sex because it feels good.
It feels good.
Yeah.
Lions.
Isn't there another one that?
I think there's one more, but those are the ones I can remember.
Yeah, same.
I mean, I can remember humans. And I remember dolphins.
Yeah, humans, dolphins.
Lions aren't lighting candles or putting music on.
No, they're get it done. This is random, but I think about cats, and when they have sex, that's not enjoyable. At least not for the female. Yeah. Because the males literally have a barbed penis.
Ouch.
Yeah, and that's why you hear female cats when they're doing it. Because it hurts.
They do not want to feel the love tonight.
So, do you think big cats are like that?
Well, I've
never thought about that until now.
I have a distinct memory of sitting in the IMAX theater as maybe a 10-year-old.
Are you about to look up a lion barb?
No, I'm not about to look that up. I did not even realize that this discussion of Disney Lion King was going to actually go into this.
Well, you know where my mind goes.
Animal sex. Okay.
By the way, I'm not putting up a picture either.
No,
you can just
Google it. So I have a distinct memory of as a kid going to the IMAX theater with my mom and my mom's friend.
Yeah.
And IMAX theater. So Lions doing it a large image of this.
Wow.
Sitting next to my mom and her friend. I'm like,
and it's got depth to it.
What was I watching? It wasn't 3D.
Yeah. Oh.
But it was huge.
But it's an IMAX theater where you got the depth.
Yeah, and I might have been 10, and it was mean, it was right in my face.
Nice. They do. Okay.
So I don't have a picture of
We're
the
not,
actual...
Yeah, once again, you guys, everyone's going to have to Google it on their own time.
It's not that bad.
It's interesting to you, please look
If you want to see it, that's on you.
That's on you.
Yeah, well, because unhuman parts are coming up, so just beware.
Nice.
But I do have like a graphic... No, sorry. When I say graphic, I don't mean like, don't look,
like an image graphic,
An
right?
image graphic.
Oh,
so it kind of looks human-esque, but it does have some Barbies.
Yeah. All right, so moving on.
Anyway,
I think this was going to be much more difficult, in my opinion. Aladdin versus Beauty and the Beast.
Mm-hmm.
Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast. Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, I mean,
classic.
Beauty
and the Beast saved Disney.
This was going to be bittersweet because, I think I have to weigh into Beauty and the Beast because of the time. I mean, they both have such timeless stories, and I'm already really biased towards Aladdin, but I almost feel like Beauty and the Beast has a little bit more. I don't know.
You know what? I need to help you out on
this.
They're
almost on the...
I need to help you out on this because it feels like Beauty and the Beast should be the clear winner. But Disney has this thing about females. We love females.
Yeah.
They totally advertise females. Just think about like movies like Atlantis and Treasure Planet about males. They didn't have, well, I mean, I guess Keita was kind of like a princess, but it wasn't about them. It was about the dude. In Aladdin, there was a female, and this movie is a little bit more prominent than Treasure Planet and Atlantis.
Oh, poor Treasure Planet.
I know.
I don't think I saw either of those.
They're both amazing.
Yeah.
They last through time. Anyway, Aladdin, I feel like, is one of those movies that should have, like, had a ride. You know, like, had a ride at Disneyland.
Oh, I cannot tell you how furious I was growing up, and every time we go to Disneyland, and I would forget that there was Aladdin's
restaurant.
Yeah, the Aladdin's restaurant in Adventureland. You know, next to the Indiana Jones or the Jungle Cruise ride. There's that Aladdin's, and immediately I saw Aladdin, and immediately I'm thinking this is a ride, and my parents had to be like, no, that's not anything. I'm like, but it's right there. It's like, no, it's nothing. I was like, but what is it?
Like, I need to know.
I was like, because they weren't telling me exactly that it's not a ride. They're like, no, it's not anything. I'm like, are you refusing to take me into Aladdin? And then finally one trip they were like, no, it's a restaurant, and I'm like,
you could have told me that.
Yeah, fucked up Disney.
I do feel like this is one of those movies I wish would have gotten more attention, and I feel like it didn't get as much attention because it was about a dude.
Well, and actually
I disagree 100%.
Now I think of it, because I think Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast are becoming more on par because Aladdin got a Broadway now, right? Yeah, and it's getting a live action as well. So Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin are almost, right on par with, as far as where the movies have gone.
I think I would say, just to argue, like, I was a little bit older when it came out, so Aladdin was huge.
Yeah.
I think you guys were maybe a little young.
I was very young.
When did Aladdin come out?
You might have been like 1 or 2. It was huge.
Well, because Beauty and the Beast came out in 91, I think. 90 or 91.
I feel like there was a lot more publicity for Aladdin than Beauty and the Beast because of the star factor of Robin Williams. And I feel like it was huge. It came
out after Beauty and the Beast, though, right?
I can't remember.
92 was Aladdin.
And I know that Beauty and the Beast is like a year or two before that. And I think that's part of my argument. If Beauty and the Beast saved Disney, they don't have the money to make all that advertisement. They just threw the movie out there, and thank heavens that it saved Disney.
Yeah.
And Aladdin had more funding to actually advertise it.
Probably.
So maybe for that time. But if we're looking at it currently and being like, oh, name some Disney movies, most people don't think Aladdin. They think of all the princesses.
They think, and it was 1 year difference. 91, Beauty and the Beast, 92, Aladdin.
I think that made enough difference.
I'm still going to stick with my bias of Aladdin because I just love Aladdin, and also, I mean, even in the sense of like what is incorporated in the movie. You've got a magical movie versus a magical movie with Aladdin with the genie and the exotic setting, and then Beauty and the Beast with an enchanted castle.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So it's like, yeah.
I'll argue. So now I'll flip it around and I'll argue Beauty and the Beast kind of had. I mean, it's not a Tim Burton feel, but it had that like happy moment. Very enlightening, kind of like, especially with Be Our Guest. Mm-hmm. But when Belle gets to the castle and she meets the Beast, it's scary.
It's creepy.
Yeah. And even as a child, you're like, "Oh my god, I don't know," but it made up for it when you saw all the happy, awesome things that Belle just ran into. You're like, "I'm willing to go into the dark. Maybe I'll meet magic dishes."
Well, it's actually, I'm not gonna lie. I will agree with you. I think I remember growing up. I think the first couple of times I watched Beauty and the Beast, I thought the father got killed by the Beast because when you first introduced to the Beast, he's this shadowy figure and he gets thrown in the dungeon, and then I remember the way he gets sent back to the town is the Beast throws him into like a walking armoire or something like that. That doesn't he? Like doesn't he like throw him into something that like spider crawls his way out? So I thought like, oh shoot, the dad is straight up dead. Like,
I didn't think he was dead, but I thought it was going to be like a more isolated prison. Like he was put in like solitary confinement.
Yeah.
I personally, just based on my own personal experience with the two movies, I'm going to give it to Aladdin. Now that Little Mermaid's out of the running, and kind of going back to my original argument of Aladdin versus Hercules, like Aladdin had like the star quality, the comedy. I like the songs. I like the romance. Now that this it's really what I watched more as a kid and what I liked more as a kid, and what the songs I like the songs better in Aladdin.
Yeah.
I liked I just liked the characters more. I liked, aside from Jafar, I wasn't a huge Jafar fan.
Yeah, I hated Jafar.
I really liked everything else about Aladdin. I liked the underdog story.
Also, Aladdin had a great video game to the Sega.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You can't make a video game out of Beauty and the Beast.
Not exactly. The only way is during that period of time. I could see it during that period of time where they just made the video game, but it had nothing to do with the movie, and it was just some platformer. That just happened to have the characters, when they did that.
I'll say, too, because I actually did play a Beauty and the Beast video game, but it wasn't necessarily action, it was puzzly, and so I like puzzly games, so I really loved it.
I do, I remember there was like a point-and-click adventure I think they had.
I don't know about the point-and-click adventure, but the one that I did play wasn't necessarily about Beauty and the Beast. It was like, you were with... Cogsworth and Lumiere, and Lumiere's like, "Oh, we've got to make food for the Be Our Guest scene, basically." Yeah. And so you try and help him make food, and it's almost like a Rube Goldberg project, like on the screen, and you have to click things in time to like catch the eggs and to get the butter and do the milk, and so you're making a cake and throwing all the ingredients.
I can also see that as being like I can also see that as being like one of those like, did anyone have like Reader Rabbit, like those learning how to read games? I could see that kind of like fitting in that same way.
I definitely could see it fitting in that way. But this game wasn't that. Because I remember, like, ooh, Reader Rabbit, I want to play all these games because then I'll learn things and it'll be fun. It was not fun.
I loved Reader Rabbit.
Actually, I did like Reader Rabbit. And Freddy Fish. Okay,
anyway, we're getting...
I would say, going back to what you were talking about with being creepy, what I didn't like about Beauty and the Beast is that it was kind of, like either sad, scary, or creepy for far too long. Too much of the movie was sad and creepy and scary for me. Whereas I feel like Aladdin was like mostly fun and entertaining and funny and cute and a little Abu. Yeah. I mean, I just loved and enjoyed more of the movie as far as the time spent. Yeah.
There's only like a couple of areas of suspense, and that was when he got trapped in the Cave of Wonders. And then that one actually was a pretty scary scene, like when the cave started collapsing in on itself.
Yes,
and
the Cave of Wonders, like outside the cave, was so cool. I wanted him to be more involved.
I had a toy that was the outside of the Cave of Wonders, and you opened it up, and it had like this whole like little like it was like almost like a Polly Pocket type thing, and like it even had like you could set up certain things like with the falling rocks. So like if you did that, like you could set it up to where it fit like it would stay because they fit together. But if like you tapped a certain way, they would like fall and stuff.
That's awesome.
And yeah,
I feel like I'm having flashbacks of seeing
Yeah,
this
me
at
too.
somebody's house.
yeah,
Or maybe I saw the commercial.
maybe.
I,
I don't know.
feel like I saw the
Yeah.
commercial.
Yeah, that's what it is. I'm going to give it to Aladdin, just because of my own personal nostalgia. I didn't like Beauty and the Beast as much as a kid. I didn't own it. I don't remember choosing to watch it that often. So for me, it's Aladdin.
I watched both of them a lot growing up, and I feel like both Aladdin as the character and the movie was an underdog, and I feel like it needs to be more appreciated. So I definitely vote Aladdin.
So I'd say Aladdin moves forward.
All right.
What did you pick? What was
Yeah,
your
I was
pick,
like,
though?
did you?
Aladdin.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, you originally picked Beauty and the
There's
Beast.
probably-
Originally, but I swayed back to Aladdin.
There's part of me that's like, I want the like little Chris sleeping on the couch to win.
Oh yeah.
The costume.
Okay,
All right, so back over to Pixar side, we have Toy Story 2 versus Coco.
Toy Story 2.
Yeah, I'm gonna immediately pick Toy Story 2 on this one because I think it's.
You didn't care for Toy
I'm a
Story
little.
2, did
I'm a
you?
little
No,
bit.
it's my same argument. It's Toy Story and
Yeah.
sequels versus an original story.
It was. I will say, yeah. As far as a lot of sequels go, not a lot of them do very well. Toy Story had a great sequel.
That was my
you
argument
know?
for a long
Yeah.
time. That was the one, especially for that time period, that was one of the only sequels that was really good.
Yeah, especially it was one of those few times, and I was super pissed a lot of times when Disney would have a sequel and they had different voice actors.
Yeah, kind of like when you watch like Tarzan
Yeah.
and Jane and you're like, ew, who are you?
Yeah, and it was very obvious that they were different voice actors too.
Yeah.
That
Those
was
were
just, like,
direct-to-video
so-
sequels, right?
Maybe I don't remember. Like, didn't
Maybe.
I never-
Atlantis 2 have?
No, that was terrible.
Yeah,
That went straight to
and
DVD or
once again, that
whatever.
was a different voice actor because it wasn't Michael J. Fox's Milo, right?
Yep, that was
Yeah.
so terrible.
I think like Toy Story 2 and 3 are on equal footing for me.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
I'm going to give the exact same
Yeah.
I feel like, spiel. So I'm not going to reiterate it, but yeah, I do like Toy Story 2 and Toy Story 3.
Yeah.
But they're both the stories were very strong and very good and very cute, and I like the characters. I like what they did, and actually might lean personally towards Toy Story 3 versus 2. So for me, it's even more strongly that it's Coco here.
I think I'm a little bit more biased in the Toy Story 2 stage from what I said before, is that I think Coco is just a little bit too new for me to like have a huge weigh-in on Coco's side, because I did see it so recently and it did have a powerful message, but but it was so recent to that. So like my immediate, like initially I want to say Coco because it's so fresh in my mind, but I'm having to go back and like try and like wait a second, but what did Toy Story 2 bring to the table?
Yeah. It's almost like nostalgia versus like
Yeah.
new and original.
Yeah.
Maybe at least for me.
But I didn't feel like it was very original. I mean, like, it
Coco?
was cute because it was, you know, there's not very many Spanish movies
Yeah.
showing that culture, but I was like, eh. Toy Story 2 still had a lot of feels. I was going to make a good comment, and then my phone rang, and it just distracted me. Brr, dang phone. Somebody else talk.
I don't know what else to
Damn
say.
it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say. I mean, for me, it's like Toy Story
Oh.
2. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I was like, but it's all coming back to me.
Yeah.
Toy Story 2 was not predictable. Coco was predictable for me. So that's the biggest reason why I picked Toy Story 2.
But he got lost, and his friends were going to look for him.
Mm-hmm.
He was going to be found by his friends.
It was more like the journey that was not predictable. Like, the end of the movie, you were like, I know in Coco he's going to get the guitar. I know he's going to be able to play music.
Yeah.
That's
I
predictable.
will say
I know in Toy Story 2 they're going to find their friends and, like, be back.
Yeah.
But it was the journey in both of them that Coco was like, yep.
I will say I was not expecting the added element in Coco with the if you don't make it back to the mortal realm, you're stuck in the spirit realm.
Yeah.
Added thing. That was an interesting twist that I did not expect.
And I like
For
the
me, that was like one thing.
Yeah,
But I also like the second death thing, where if you're forgotten again. I mean, there's something like
That was cute.
very, very heartfelt and very like it made you think about family, and it made me think about like my grandfather like printed all these pictures of like ancestors that I like great, and it's like it made me want to go and get that folder out and look at those people. Like it made me really feel some really like I'm getting older and like family. That made me feel some really strong feelings, and I really enjoyed Coco, and I really liked the story. It made me feel things that I never felt before in any of these movies. But I also think that Toy Story 2 is a good movie.
I really liked Jessie, and I liked her sad backstory. That was the point when you realize that you're like, oh,
because she had her kid,
are gonna be left behind at some point. Yeah. Like they're gonna feel that, and it was really cute that Woody was like, Andy's probably going to get older and tired of us. But
and that was such a scene too, when Jesse's like, oh, forget about Andy because he's obviously going to forget about you. This is your home now, kind of thing too. That whole scene.
It's like, but I want to be played with, not put in a museum. Kind of like it's like the idea of like if you have a kid, you want to protect your kid, but if you try and like overly protect them, then they're never going to experience anything. So like, don't put your kid in a museum.
And it becomes a resentment thing too, and it's a spiteful thing, which is kind of the original reason why he went to the spirit world to begin with, because it was in spite of what his family said too. I mean, he still learned the lesson of that they were doing what was right, for him, and they all saw eye to eye eventually.
So I'm just gonna say my vote's Toy Story 2. What do you guys say? I think you said Coco.
Definitely Coco.
I want to say Toy Story 2, but once again, that's my bias from, like, if Coco had more time, I think I'm more biased on the fact that Toy Story has the more of a history on its belt.
So we're saying Toy Story?
I think we're saying Toy Story.
Okay. Toy Story.
I will give Toy Story 2 has Tom Hanks, who I love.
Yeah.
All
Toy
the same.
Story,
and Joan Cusack as Jessie.
Joan Cusack?
Yeah.
So now we have Nemo and Monsters Inc. I know.
I know
ahead.
too.
Go ahead.
I'm immediately saying Monsters Inc.
Same.
Yeah. It's like for all the same reasons. It's like, I mean,
decoration.
Yeah, Nemo's great, but as far as decoration, as far as just overall creativeness, I mean, sure, you can argue like there's so much of the sea that we haven't discovered and what could exist, but they threw in things that we already know exist in the sea. Monsters Inc. There's just so much room for creativity.
I'm just, it's funny because I think Monsters Inc. and was like, I can show you the world. Literally, they walk in one door and then out another, and they're like, oh, this is the other side of the world.
Right.
I just love Monsters Inc.
All right.
Down to the final four.
Down to the final four, everyone. This is where it's going to get super tough.
Oh my god, you guys. Lion King versus Aladdin. Okay.
I already have feelings on this, but wait. Do you guys already have strong feelings on what movie?
I have strong feelings on what.
And then what about you? You have strong feelings?
I don't have strong feelings. I think I'm swaying towards one over the other, but I'm feeling very conflicted because these are both very equal.
Okay.
Very close.
We'll talk more in a second, but on the count of three, we'll say the movies we think that we're swayed more.
You guys go first. Because
all three of us.
No, all three.
Yeah, all three.
It's okay, I'm not ready yet.
It's okay. We'll talk more afterward. It's not going to be the final decision. You're like, pressure!
I don't know if I'm ready yet, though. Okay.
Whatever first is instinct.
Okay, I'm ready.
So, 1, 2, 3. Aladdin.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so especially since you're like, I'm not really sure, why did you just suddenly lean towards Lion King?
Honestly, it's that opening number.
No? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that is a very iconic opening.
The opening number swayed me.
Yeah.
I actually think the imagery and the beauty of it, and I liked Timon and Pumbaa. I liked the part where he went away and he grew up. I liked the Can You Feel the Love Tonight song. I liked Zazu over Iago. Is that the name of the character?
Yeah, Iago was in...
I liked Scar more than Jafar.
True. I agree with that.
I liked Hakuna Matata more, I think... Ooh, I don't know. Actually, you know what? I take that back. I do like that You Ain't Never Had a Friend Like Me better. But Hakuna Matata is a great song.
Yeah.
And, you know, I Just Can't Wait to Be King is a great song. And, oh, God, this is a really tough one, you guys.
So,
definitely, I think I'm not definitely, but I'm leaning towards Lion King.
So something as far as Lion King goes, and this was both growing up and even watching it a couple times as an adult, because, like, you know, sometimes you're like, oh, I've already seen it, and not totally paying attention. But for the longest time, I was mad at Simba. I thought Simba just, like, left his family forever just because he wanted to, like, go have fun with Timon and Pumbaa and live in this amazing jungle.
You missed the whole...
I didn't, like, it went over my head. I didn't realize the conversation with Scar, you know? Like, I think that was
Scar
a little...
him?
Yeah, yeah, I don't think it was the kid in me that just kind of ignored those words from Scar. So I didn't understand what was going on, that he was just like, oh, my dad died, and I'm going to leave the rest of my family. I didn't even understand that he was supposed to be king. I thought he just came back and was like, I'm going to be
throne,
king. Yeah.
Throne, yeah.
F you guys.
Like, I definitely got the... Like, I will agree that, yeah, I think that there was a couple times that it was lost on me that Scar said, you're going to be pinned for this kind of thing. Like, you have to leave, kind of, like, you know, you have to go into exile. But there's also, you know, especially being so young, seeing Lion King, there's something kind of traumatizing about Scar murdering his own brother and that whole long live the king thing just before he tosses him.
Yeah.
Like, that scene is just so just
Disney.
like, yeah, it's
Also,
just so, yeah.
It bothered me that they were brothers. They looked nothing alike.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I will
Not
say...
same color eyes, furs, body type, voice.
And like, I think
that's true.
I appreciate a lot of Lion King as an adult with a more, you know, evolved, you know, brain and stuff, and understanding monarchy and understanding, you know, this kind of Game of Thrones, like, you know, that's like, I understand that type of thing, but I'm still biased for Aladdin for just everything else, and also because of the fact that Lion King just has so much sadness in it, with the murder, the father being killed, the exile that Simba goes through and having to pick himself out of this rut, and then, you know, being met up with his childhood friend, and then realizing, oh crap, that whole conflict of I have to go back to my home and take back the throne, and the whole, just the dark time that the kingdom went through under the rule of Scar. Yeah. And it was just that depressing time and stuff. There's just so much scenes that were just
sad.
Yeah, sad or depressing or just dark. You know, darkness.
So
and I mean, it was really well done with the way they got the, you know, some of the stuff. But there's just so much that is just so negative in a lot of scenes. And Aladdin is just so much like inspiring and once again underdog story and just like,
it is,
you know.
This is something kind of random.
Yeah.
Because I said colorful and it made me think of, I saw some, I don't know if it was a meme or Tumblr or what, it's probably Tumblr, that makes sense, about Disney using the color green as kind of like the magic source for evil, and Scar was a good example, Ursula was a good example.
Yeah, he had, Scar had green eyes. And
it was red in Aladdin.
It was, but I think that was the age-old red versus blue, because you have, you know, Genie being blue and being, you know, that good sense, and then you have Jafar with the red, and when he becomes a genie, turns red.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Red's definitely an evil color.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it just wasn't like the classic sense of, or not classic, but the history of Disney is the one-off. But interesting choices.
But yeah, I see where you're coming from with the green, because like with the Maleficent and all of her magical abilities was green and stuff. That is interesting. I never thought about that.
Yeah, it's like a color. It's kind of like the color of poison.
Yeah,
you got the poison apple, and it goes way back. So, are we gonna give it to Aladdin, guys?
I want to give it to Aladdin, but yeah,
I think I do, because I was trying to think of things that I don't like about Aladdin, but a lot of them we've already mentioned. Like, I hate Jafar. I hate Jafar, and I hate Jafar.
Yeah.
Scar was way better. You made that comment.
Yeah.
I do like Zazu better. And I even like his stupid little song when he's in the little rib cage.
I've got a lovely bunch of turkeys.
There they are standing in a row. Big one. Okay.
I actually like I said, I'm pretty conflicted. So I really like Aladdin, and I like that it kind of has that kind of romance, a whole new world. Like I love that song. It's one of my favorites. It's like right up there after
clouds.
Yeah, right after. It's a great duet. Yeah. It's probably the best duet of any Disney song.
I think so.
If we're looking at duets, it's way up there for me. It's probably right after for me. Right after Part of Your World for my favorite Disney song. It's a classic, and oh gosh, it's worthy of winning, but it's very close for me. Yeah. So I'm okay with Aladdin.
So we're saying Aladdin?
Yep.
All right.
Because all I can think of now, like I love Lion King, but I was like, all I can think of is flaws that I just didn't care for. Lion King.
Well, especially, and I think it's also because I think you and I especially have a much more bias on, especially being children, seeing both these movies, and there's just so much sadness, or there's so much just negativity to that given the choice, I would much rather always put on Aladdin.
That's
before.
Totally true.
And actually swayed me a little bit because there is a lot of sadness. Like I was talking about Beauty and the Beast, the sad, creepy factor.
Yeah,
if a lot of it's spent on that, it's kind of like
it's like skip. Especially as a kid, it's like I don't want to watch a sad movie. I want to watch a fun movie.
I would literally fast forward through a lot of my movies of the scenes I didn't like. Lion King, 100% of the time, I always fast forwarded through Mufasa dying. And that's probably why I didn't understand why Simba
because you always started it right when Simba collapsed before.
Exactly. I was just like, no, okay, fast forward. In Aladdin, the only thing I think sometimes I would fast forward is the talk from Jafar to Aladdin when he was like, "Give me the lamp, boy,"
Oh yeah.
But that was
I thought you were going to say the scene in the prison when he comes to him as the old man. I actually
weirdly liked that.
Because
it was the secret hideaway.
Yeah.
You remember that?
When he pushed back the rock.
Aladdin gets caught with Jasmine. And so they throw him in jail. Well, you know what I mean.
Because he was with the princess.
Yeah. And she's not supposed to be seen technically. And
she's forbidden.
Yes. But so he gets thrown into prison and is supposed to be basically beheaded. Jafar turns himself into this creepy old thin man and is trying to convince Aladdin, if you do something for me, I will do something for you. And Aladdin's like, well, how are we going to get out of here?
And I especially love when he's like, will you do that? And his crooked teeth just...
Yeah. I did really like that part. The laugh, the wheezy laugh, and the just pushing away the hideaway was like, how do you do that?
And as far as openings go, how do you not love Robin Williams as the peddler? At the beginning, he's like, "Oh, come close! I have secrets. Oh, what's in this box?"
It's great.
And it was supposed to loop around. I guess they decided to leave that out, but it was supposed to be Genie telling the story. That's why it was Robin Williams.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Genie was the peddler.
I feel like I'm the fun fact of this.
Yeah.
There's part of me it's like I just didn't want to watch the opening of Lion King. And then watch Aladdin the movie,
right?
And so there's
that's fair.
I love
that. Was a great opening.
The song,
it's so iconic.
The drum beat, like I said, with the title, just blown away.
Yeah, it is powerful.
My little kid eyes were just like, oh my god.
However, I guess as far as a timeless, just really hits you. But now I'm still remembering. There's just something so the song Arabian Nights.
Yeah.
Just super gets you into this mindset of there's something so exotic and magical that's I'm about to go on an adventure with this.
I fast forwarded through that too.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow!
Because I was like, I want to see something. Where Lion King, I never fast forward because I was like, this is amazing. Yeah. And as a kid, I was like, pretend to be the animals too.
Yeah, there was a lot more of a fanfare with that march.
Sun, the giraffe, the eyes open up and it walks in the sun. Oh my god, it's so good! I'm gonna watch it right now.
Yeah. So.
But I'm okay with it.
Yeah. So Aladdin goes on to the finals.
But if we're talking a bracket about openings, Lion King.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that. All right. Toy Story 2 versus Monsters, Inc.
I think this one might be actually a little bit easier.
Yep.
I think
we're unanimous.
Are we going to do the countdown?
Yeah.
So 3, 2, 1.
Monsters, Inc.
Yay! I think Toy Story has fought its way, and it was... I think it was pretty clear, how Toy Story made it to it, but Toy Story 2 versus Monster Inc. Once again, Monsters Inc. had so much more room for creativity.
Yeah. Super original, super funny. It was action packed. It was cute. Little Boo and Sully. It had everything. I love this movie. So
Okay.
good.
So now...
That was such an easy one, and now I'm mad
So
because our last two.
So here's the question. Do we pick an overall champion, or should we leave it at one
side?
for the Disney and one for Pixar? Or do we want to actually pick an overall top?
Well, so let's have the conversation, because I do feel like these are very much opposite reasons for why we like them. Aladdin, classic, good music, romance. Monsters, Inc. was more like family, unpredictable, creative, artistic. Actually, they're both pretty artistic.
Yeah. Monsters, Inc. didn't really have a soundtrack to it. That's the thing about Pixar. They don't really have a lot of lyrical stuff. They have a lot
they'll
more
have
like
one song,
like atmospheric kind of music, or like music that goes along with a setting.
I will argue that while it didn't have a lot of music, it had one of the most iconic, if not the most iconic, Randy Newman song. You've got a friend in me.
With Toy Story, yeah.
No, isn't that Monsters Inc.?
No, that's Toy Story. Yeah,
that's Toy Story.
What?
However,
What was the song?
it's like was there? What did Randy Newman do with Monsters Inc.?
Monsters Inc. had a opening song with all the like cartoon doors and such. Are you looking it up?
But once again, it was more instrumental that went along with
it's cool.
Yeah,
it's cool.
with scenes, kind of like
it was. If I didn't have you, wouldn't have nothing. If I didn't have you,
was that also Randy?
Those are also
that
very
was.
similar.
I think it was. Yes, Monsters Inc. album by Randy Newman.
Okay.
I got those
So
mixed up, guys,
All
but I remember it being an iconic song.
Yeah, okay.
I will say You've Got a Friend in Me is more iconic.
I do remember that now.
Wouldn't have nothing.
If I didn't have you.
Yeah.
And I think Billy Crystal and John Goodman sing it, which is cute at the end.
They do. They're just so opposite. Like, I almost feel like it's hard to say that one tops the other one. Yeah, I think especially because
I want to do it though. Yeah, I kind of want to do it.
Well, especially because on the one side it's flat out Disney. So we picked the champion for Disney, and then we picked our champion for Pixar Studios, and I almost feel like it could be left at that.
I'm okay with that, but I also feel like we should each pick our favorite. And but it won't be...
So not an ultimate one.
Not an ultimate, but let's all each go leaning towards one versus the other.
I know what you guys are going to pick.
My personal winner overall, I would say Aladdin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm actually really happy that Aladdin went
Do you think
all
so
the way
too?
It's more of like which one would I want to watch it. God, this is hard.
If there was one of these that you were never allowed to watch again.
Oh, that's a... when you put it on that, I mean, that's such a tough one, but I think I would prefer Aladdin.
I think I'm going to lean towards Monsters, Inc. I think that it was creative and funnier and more colorful. I liked that it was a story about monsters. Yeah. And I liked that, the whole, the plot of it. I loved Boo. I just think I ended up, even though I was like, it's kind of like, it's hard because it's adult versus kid. Yeah. So it's almost like, what did I like more? What is my more emotionally attached to? Yeah. There's part of me that's like, the picking Aladdin, or picking Monsters, Inc. is like rejecting childhood. A little bit, but
I could see that.
But it's almost like, which one would I want to watch right now? Which one would I want to watch over and over again? And which one was more enjoyable? And for me, it's Monsters Inc. Nice. Right. But I feel really sad about it. But I'm not. But I refuse. I don't think we should decide an ultimate winner. But I also like the idea of hearing what you guys think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really tough, but there are two factors alone that will sway me towards Aladdin.
What's that?
One of them is Aladdin has music. I love singing along with movies. Even if I don't watch the movies, I love singing along.
True.
I literally have a bunch of Disney movies, or at least the soundtracks of Disney movies on my phone.
Yes.
And you can only have one or two of the Pixar ones. And you said Monsters, Inc., and I was like, holy shit, I don't have that song. Yeah. So I put that on my phone.
It's not as good as I Can Show You,
Yeah, the Whole New World.
Whole New World, yeah.
And then the other deciding factor is that Monsters, Inc. has one sad and uncomfortable moment that I tend to avoid those types of moments, and that's when he scares Boo.
Oh yeah,
she
when
sees the
he
video.
finally snaps and roars.
Yeah,
and,
it was so sad. That just like.
Yeah, that was. Oh man.
What about when Aladdin rejects his like elephant little
Abu?
Yeah, he just gets mad for a moment. He doesn't.
Yeah, they don't exactly have a falling out. It was just more of like he pushed him to the side because he was a little bit more blinded by like what he had in front of him, and then when he was humbled again, he's like, "I'm so sorry, Abu." Like,
and it was it literally took a few seconds. He snapped at Abu, and Abu was like, "Aww," and Aladdin was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry."
Yeah, and
the sad elephant is like, but
not as sad as Boo.
Yeah, because Boo straight up cried, and
and we've never seen her cry like that, other than like she was hiding from Kitty, her favorite.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say person, but her favorite.
Yeah, she was betrayed.
You know, it's funny. Like when I look at this entire bracket and what we've done, to have it end up being Monsters Inc. would be kind of surprising.
I know,
but to have it be Aladdin is like okay. Not that we're gonna pick. It's just more personal at this point, but. I think Aladdin versus Monsters Inc. is a great...
That is a great matchup.
It's a great matchup. And these are the two great movies, and I'm very personally very happy that Monsters Inc. won for Pixar. It's absolutely my favorite, personal favorite movie.
And I would love to see what everyone else's opinions on this. I can't wait to see, because I imagine that there's going to be a lot of comments disagreeing with some of the choices. But with this matchup, who's your personal winner, or hell, even with any of the matchups, who's your personal winner?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, we already know. Well, yours is Aladdin.
Yeah, mine's Aladdin.
They're and it won, so I'm sure you're just gloating inside.
Inside, yeah.
But
I mean,
trying to be humble.
Yeah, I'm leaving it. I'm leaving it at this because it is still so difficult to decide between the two because they're just so on two completely different worlds. Kind of thing that's hard to say. That one was overall over, but if I had to choose one, I'm personally going with Aladdin.
Even if you had done your own personal bracket, you think?
Maybe I don't know. I don't even know. I think it really helped having this whole discussion, and breaking it down critically.
Yeah,
I think had I filled it out, just filling it out on my own, I probably would have had a lot of biases.
Yeah,
and swayed it to my biases.
Agreed. Tangled and Incredibles are some of my two favorite movies. Mm-hmm. And that's staying away from the classic movies. I do love Little Mermaid, but it just wasn't. It was never super big for me.
Yeah.
Mulan, Aladdin, and Beauty and the Beast are high on my list for classics.
Yeah. When I had done this, my ultimate winner was Little Mermaid.
I remember seeing that.
Little Mermaid, but it was Little Mermaid versus Monsters Inc. And so that was hard.
I remember commenting on when you filled out your bracket that I was like, I find your bracket controversial and biased, and it wasn't. It had nothing to do with the fact that you chose Little Mermaid over the top. It was more like some of what you chose as winners over other ones. What?
Well, the thing is, and it's hard letting go of certain things. But I did enjoy having this discussion because it actually did sway me. I did make some changes on my personal bracket. I was like, oh yeah, Inside Out's great. But then when we talked about it, I was like, wait a minute, no.
Holy crap, you're right.
Finding Nemo was actually more enjoyable and really memorable for me. And I couldn't. It's hard. It is really fun. So thank you.
All right, everyone. So there you have it. Our picks for we didn't go for clear cut number one, but I think that this is perfect, leaving it at our top Disney animated and our top Pixar animated.
I'm surprised that we didn't argue more.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm actually. I thought that there was going to be some serious. Yeah, I honestly thought that there would be some serious, fisticuffs going on with some stuff, but
I kept it cool, man.
Yeah.
Little Mermaid.
It was very humbling in a lot of decisions.
I let my favorite movies go. I let the other ones beat it out.
Yeah.
Your guys' favorite movies won.
I mean, overall, I'm happy that Aladdin won, but I mean, especially, Aladdin against, what was it? The beginning is Aladdin against Hercules, wasn't it? At the very first round?
No, Aladdin against The Little Mermaid.
No, it was Aladdin against Hercules. Little Mermaid was against Pocahontas.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
So Aladdin against Hercules. Those ones are two of my, like 2 of my top, and
you know what?
yeah,
I would have.
That was a bittersweet one for me, letting go Hercules.
I would have picked Hercules over Aladdin.
Yeah,
but
Whoa.
yeah, yep.
Interesting.
It's a really hard one for me to give up.
So, all right, everyone, go ahead. Can't wait to see what your comments are down below, and what your brackets would have been in the top finals. And thank you all for liking, commenting, and subscribing. And we will see you all next time.